Chapter 41. Insignificant Things. Assemble quickly. What are you dawdling for? Military orders are as mountainous. Do you no longer value your lives? Under the order officer's urging, within the time it took to drink a cup of tea, all 300 garrison soldiers had gathered. Chun Sansi was naturally among them. Leading the group were Householder Xiong and Household's Commander Lu, with no sign of Xiong Tingchun. Depart! At the command, the entire army struck out. This is really sudden. For Chun Sansi, it was his first time executing a real face-to-face mission with the enemy. Where is 100 Households Wang? He's not here. Household's Commander Lu came over and said, "This morning, under the pretense of hosting a banquet, Lord Thousand Households gathered all the masters of the 4 great martial arts schools at the 8 Treasures restaurant, then sent 100 Households Wang and 100 Households Luo to accompany them with 200 men. They haven't returned yet. A banquet? This was likely holding the martial arts halls under house arrest to prevent them from interfering with this operation. It seems that today they truly found the hiding place of the witch god sect, and Xiong Tingchun was bound to obtain the immortal treasure. It seems there's no time to enhance my strength. I'll have to adapt as things come." Still, as always, Chun Sansi wouldn't take too great a risk for a treasure. Xiong Tingchun was personally involved, and it had reached the level of fighting suited for refining organ martial artists. He couldn't get involved even if he wanted to. He would act on opportunity. If there really was a chance, he would give it a try. If not, he would let it be. Lord Thousand Households captures people just to capture them, but why keep the martial arts halls under arrest? Is it related to them letting blood? Household's Commander Lu and Householder Xiong also felt something was off. But the specific reason, if the higher-ups didn't say, they wouldn't ask. Some things are not better off known. Sansi. Household's Commander Lu patted his shoulder. When we arrive at the location later, you don't need to rush forward. Just lead your men to block off the rear. Fatty Wang really treats you well. Householder Xiong, carrying a battle axe, added. For this matter, he even remarkably agreed to invite us to Spring Pavilion. Thank you, both householders' commanders. Chun Sansi stepped back to find his men. Ha! Zhu Tong seemed somewhat excited. He had broken through in blood refining a few days ago, and was fretting about having no place to use his martial skills. Let me kill some barbarians. Su Wenkai was visibly trembling, clutching a spear more like a crutch in his grasp. He stammered, "Sir, I heard that the followers of the witch god sect kill without blinking. I really don't know any martial arts." "Useless, you better run then." Zhu Tong, as always, kept cursing him. "You coward! I, Su Wen, am not afraid to die." Su Wenkai clung to his spear and declared loudly, "I'm just afraid of dying. Unnoticed." TCH. Zhu Tong couldn't be bothered to engage. Military soldier Wang Li was relatively calm. "Flag officer, sir, what should we do later?" "Follow the commands of the householders' commanders." Chun Sansi looked at his men. "Don't be frightened. It's just a siege. The real experts will be handled by Household's Commander Xiong. We'll most likely just be blocking off the road. Besides, since the day we enlisted, we knew this day would come." "Sir's right." Wang Li agreed. "Rather than being at a total loss when we really go into battle someday, better to take this chance for a trial." The group joined the ranks. The 300 men marched mightily towards the direction of Payang County. But their destination was not the county town. 5 miles outside the south city gate of Payang County, there was a temple known as the Golden Bell Temple, where followers of the witch god sect had been hiding until yesterday when one of the local military soldiers, who had gone to offer prayers, spotted something suspicious and reported it to the commander. Outside the south city gate, there was a small hill. At the foot of the hill, a 2-story high bluestone stele was erected, carved with the words Golden Bell Temple. Beside the stele, a winding staircase led up step by step, where lines of devout pilgrims queued up to reach the Vermilion Temple situated at the midslope. Although there were many people, the place was exceptionally quiet. Only the buildings veiled by ancient pines occasionally let out the sound of the bell and wafts of faint incense smoke. Outside the temple, there was a tea house where pilgrims could rest. Xiang Tingchun, dressed in casual clothes, sat on a long bench, sipping his tea calmly. By his side sat two similarly dressed military soldiers. One was surnamed Feng and the other Zhao. Household's commander Feng whispered with his head down, "My lord, the garrison should arrive within the time of half an incense stick, encircling the Golden Bell Temple. But should we not evacuate the civilians?" "Evacuate?" Xiang Tingchun, expressionless, toyed with his teacup. "If we evacuate them, wouldn't that be the same as signaling the witch god sect followers?" "But," Household's commander Feng said with a distressed expression, "there are about 20 people from the witch god sect, and it's bound to cause a big commotion. If we don't evacuate, I'm afraid many innocent bystanders will be injured." Xiang Tingchuan's voice was icy. "What does it matter if a few peasants die? Lord Thousand Households, you." Feng and Zhao, the two households' commanders, were at a loss for what to say. To accomplish something, there's always a price to pay. Isn't that right? Xiang Tingchun gently placed down his teacup, speaking in a deep tone. For one to succeed, thousands must perish. That is always the way of the world. But they are civilians. Household's commander Feng mustered his courage. "I think we should still." "Enough." Xiang Tingchun interrupted. "Feng Yong, Zhao Kong, listen to my orders. You two, lead a team of elite soldiers and infiltrate the temple disguised as pilgrims with me, and make sure that Lu Jingkue and Xiong Chuan block every path down the hill. Let one escape and you'll answer to me." "Yes." Feng and Zhao dared not say more, quickly leaving to convey the orders. After 300 garrison soldiers left the city, under the command of various military officers, they dispersed and surrounded the small hill where Golden Bell Temple was located from all sides, the whole process being swift and silent. Chun Sansi and Fang Zongqi, along with 50 men, were positioned at a pathway down the hill's flank, lying in ambush within the dense foliage on both sides, tasked with trapping anyone trying to escape. Fang Zongqi issued orders at just the right volume so everyone could hear clearly. Spear soldiers are responsible for blocking the path. Archers find a spot with a clear view. Shield and blade soldiers protect the spearmen. And be ready to kill anyone who gets close. For each witch god sect follower's head, military soldiers are rewarded with a bowl of blood-replenishing soup, and array soldiers with 3 ounces of silver. Higher ranks are rewarded separately. When someone fires a whistle arrow from the mountain, it means the battle has started. Lord Thousand Households order, no one is to be spared alive. After these orders, nearly 50 people took their positions. "Sir, sir," Su One-Size red hat was askew on his head, and he could hardly hold his spear steadily. "I really don't know martial arts." "Mr. Zhu," Chun Sansi began. "Keep an eye on him when the fight really starts. Brother Chun, just indulge this old guy." Zhu Tong was holding a long spear, with a black iron hammer strapped to his back, complementing the cultivation technique he practiced, though he also held a standard-issue long spear. Before becoming a military officer, martial soldiers likewise needed to integrate into military formations on the battlefield. Without disrupting the formation, only military officers had the freedom to command and move as needed. "Get over here." Zhu Tong, as if plucking a chicken, pulled Su Wenkai over to his side. The crowd fell silent, the atmosphere in the woods laden with tension. Many among them had never truly fought with real swords and spears, so how could they not be anxious? Thankfully, there were enough of them that it wasn't too frightening. "Chiyu!" It was unclear how much time had passed when a sharp cry rang out, breaking the eerie silence. Chapter 42: The Masked Man. Golden Bell Temple. The back courtyard's Zen rooms. 2 barbarians disguised as monks are kneeling on futons. Outside, the clash of weapons and screams of agony are ceaseless. Squad leader. The thin-lipped monk is uneasy. Xiang Tingchun has sent people to surround Golden Bell Temple. What should we do? If the jade key also falls into their hands, wouldn't that be? The man referred to as squad leader is calmer. He takes out a piece of jade from his bosom and hands it to the thin-lipped monk. Squad leader. The thin-lipped monk is panicked. This is absolutely impossible. The immortal treasure is of utmost importance. How can it be entrusted to me? Xiang Tingchun knows me. The squad leader speaks indifferently. He will surely fixate on me, and with the object in my possession, it will be even less safe. I will hold off the man named Xiang. You find a way to escape. If there's really no way, then hide the jade key. The thin-lipped monk carefully accepts the object. Do we really have to die here today? It's all because of that damn traitor who handed over the immortal treasure so easily. Otherwise, Tuoba Yuan's 2 divisions would have united the grassland long ago, and seizing the great Shang court's place would be within reach. There's no need to panic so much. The middle-aged man truly resembles a high monk who has attained enlightenment, speaking soothingly and serenely. Even if we fail, the sect hierarch and great Khan still have other plans. At worst, we would just trade benefits with the old emperor of the Shang dynasty. He's coming soon, you should go. Yes. The thin-lipped monk takes the jade key and disappears out the window. Bang! A corpse crashes into the wooden door of the Zen room like a boulder. Xiang Tingchun steps over the corpse and into the room, the He Miao long sword in his hand still dripping blood. He speaks deliberately. Give me the object. Sigh. The squad leader sighs lightly, taking 2 copper maces from behind. Lord Thousand Households, you don't even know what the immortal treasure is. Why go to such great lengths? After you're dead, I'll naturally figure it out. Inside the Zen room, the sword light flickers. About 20 minutes after the whistle arrow was fired, people began to flee from the mountain to the side guarded by the troops. Get ready. Fang Zongqi raises his hand, preparing to give an order. Help! The monks at Golden Bell Temple are killing people. As the crowd draws closer, the officers and soldiers realize something is wrong. The number of people running down the mountain is close to 100. The witch god sect isn't attacking with a large army. Taking back roads through the wild and sneaking in dozens of people might be possible, but how could there be so many? It's clear at a glance that most of them are common folks. Wait a moment. Fang Zongqi quickly stops the archers who are ready to shoot and shouts to the crowd. Stop! No one goes down the mountain. Everyone, stop! Sir, there is a monk killing people at Golden Bell Temple. Save me, sir. Let me go. Please let me go. The frantic crowd isn't willing to listen. Spit! Fang Zongqi draws his crescent moon curved blade and sternly rebukes. I am telling you to stop. Don't you understand? Anyone who takes one more step forward will be treated as a witch god sect follower and summarily executed. Seeing the flashing silver blade, the people are forced to halt. Chun Sansi witnesses the chaotic scene and knows that many innocents are bound to die today. It seems that to avoid alarming the enemy, this Lord Thousand Households would rather more civilians die. Nobody move. Whoever moves will be shot dead. Flag leader Fang spoke cautiously. Horse flag officer. Most followers of the witch god sect are barbarians. Take a squad, go up there and scrutinize each one. Fortunately, they were aliens, and even if they disguised themselves in clothing and makeup, their facial features and accents were still distinguishable. Plus, by questioning them about their family backgrounds and residences, and despite taking some time, one could eventually identify them. There was no hiding it any longer. The witch god sect followers in the crowd couldn't hold back any longer. A man pretending to be a wealthy elder raised his hand and struck, slapping the heart on the back of an old man in front of him. The old man spewed a mist of blood and died on the spot. The crowd that had just been brought under control once again erupted into chaos, everyone screaming and panicking, fleeing in all directions. Brothers, kill. Carve a blood path. The followers of the witch god sect no longer hid their identity, revealing their hidden weapons and began killing in the confusion. Do not panic, Flag leader Fang shouted, clashing with that wealthy pretender, without forgetting to direct. Form squads with the men from each small flag, assist each other, and create formations to encircle and kill. The witch god sect devotees were clearly trying to scatter and escape. So the numbers they encountered were not large, about 7 or 8, and without any Bone Forger realm masters among them, it seemed the masters had already broken through elsewhere. Chun Sansi, commanding his men and coordinating with another flag officer, circled around a one-eyed man. Zhu Tong, Wang Li, and others, wielding spears, jabbed at the follower from all directions. The man had the strength of the blood-refining early stage and dual-wielded swords, wildly slashing and chopping. He managed to approach by sheer brute force, but was quickly pushed back by soldiers with shields and swords, and was once again caught in a desperate struggle. Add to that, there was a flag officer on the army side, also in the blood-refining early stage, coordinating the attack. Within less than 10 exchanges, the Witch God sect follower revealed numerous flaws and was stabbed all over by the chaotic spears, bleeding from multiple wounds. This was the might of the military. Those sects in Jianghu could not match this fighting strength. Chun Sansi wasn't idle either. He would draw his big bow fully, and upon the string's release, the arrow would soar. The wolf-teeth arrow flew through the gaps in the chaotic crowd, piercing through the face of a Witch God sect follower over 100 paces away, nailing the head onto a tree trunk with a thud, causing instantaneous, painless death. A blood-refining early stage Witch God sect follower approached from the flank, raising a crescent moon-curved blade in an attempt to ambush. How could Chun Sansi's keen hearing not detect him? Anticipating this moment, Chun Sansi turned and shot an arrow just as the attacker raised his blade. Being no more than 10 steps apart, the impact from the arrow carried the attacker backward, and before he even fell to the ground, he was caught up by a long spear, the blade slicing through his neck, severing the head from the body. Like a kicked ball, the head rolled far along the slope with a rumble. The melee did not last long. The army side had more people and quickly entrapped the Witch God sect devotees, who, despite their stubborn resistance, probably couldn't hold out for much longer. I wonder how the main battlefield is doing. Chun Sansi looked toward the direction of the Golden Bell Temple. Had Xiang Tingchun gotten what he desired? He held his reed leaf gun, ready to help quickly resolve the fight. Swoosh! Dozens of yards away, the sound of branches being broken underfoot arose. Someone hidden for a long time was trying to escape amidst the chaos. An escapee. Upon hearing the noise, Chun Sansi immediately gave chase. Through the trees, he could vaguely see a brownish-yellow figure flash by. The forest ahead was dense, obstructing most of the view. Chun Sansi, relying on his hearing and the footprints on the ground, pursued cautiously, not taking any rash actions since he didn't know the capability of his opponent. It's always wise to be careful. It wasn't until he had covered several miles and the view became clearer that he finally caught sight of the person he sought. A pointed-mouthed and cheeky monk clad in a monk's robe but with earring holes in his ears, clearly not dressing in the style of the Shang dynasty's commoners. Chun Sansi knocked an arrow, ready to shoot, when another group quickly approached. This group carried ordinary long swords, each wearing black clothes and masking their faces with black cloths. There were 4 of them in total, blocking all escape routes and stopping the pointed-mouthed monk. A third-party force? Chun Sansi recognized someone familiar among the masked people. Is it him? He concealed his breath and hid, watching secretly. Chapter 43 Immortal Treasure. Stop right there. The masked leader's blade pointed at the person. A follower of the Witch God sect? Amitba. The sharp-nosed monk pressed his palms together. Sirs, please do not speak nonsense. This humble monk is a monk from the Golden Bell Temple. A monk? Then why are you running around in such a panic? The masked man barked coldly. Cut the crap. With that face? Who could you fool? Meet your death. No more words were wasted. All 4 of them made their move simultaneously. The monk didn't hesitate either. His hands, at some point, were already quietly equipped with a pair of gloves wrapped with iron wire, directly clashing with the sword's blade, instantly sparking and creating sounds like that of blacksmithing. Both this monk and the leading masked man are in the bone training realm. Chun Sansi could tell that their power clearly surpassed that of the blood-refining warriors. They were both adept at bone training, especially the sharp-nosed monk, who seemed frail, but was incredibly fierce in action. His aura was just like that of a fierce tiger from Second Layer Mountain. Apart from the masked leader, the others were no match. In just a few exchanges, they all suffered injuries, holding their swords, not daring to approach, covering from a distance. The masked leader and the monk were locked in fierce combat. When the fight was at a deadlock, another figure silently appeared, launching a surprise attack from behind. It was yet another practitioner of bone training. 2 against 1, the monk finally started to falter. Hiss! The masked leader found an opportunity, landing a sword strike on the monk's shoulder. The sword did not cut off the entire arm as imagined, but got stuck in the middle after cleaving through bone, unable to completely sever it. Is this bone training? Are bones really so hard that swords have trouble cutting through? I'm afraid even my 2-stone bow wouldn't be able to kill a bone-training martial artist directly. It seems that getting a 10-stone bow is imperative. Chun Sansi continued to watch the battle. Any combat at a higher realm than his was helpful in gaining experience. On the battlefield, the situation became gradually clear. Ultimately, even a double-fisted monk could hardly fend off 4 hands, and after being struck by a sword, the disadvantage quickly widened. The blood-refining warriors, who had only dared to watch from afar, also moved in to look for an opportunity to deliver the finishing blow. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The sounds of blades tearing through clothing resounded one after another. The fake monk was like someone splashed with a coat of red paint. Though the bones were hard to break, the flesh had been stripped off in many places, some still clinging to his body, shaking as if they might fall off at any moment, looking extremely unsettling. Finally, the masked leader found an opportunity, thrusting a sword into the witch god sect followers' carotid artery. Blood spurted like a fountain. He fell stiffly to the ground, his eyes wide open in death. Search! The masked men quickly began searching the body, but found nothing. Nothing on him. The immortal treasure isn't with him. Should the young master consider going up the mountain? The item is most likely already in Xiang Tingchuan's possession. Let's go. We came here to scavenge. If we can't find anything, then that's that. Getting caught by Xiang Tingchun would be the end for us. It looks like we're gonna have to pay a high price after all. Take the body and withdraw. Listening to the conversation, Chun Sansi confirmed the guess in his mind. The masked men were Liang Zhan and that old servant. This young master, despite rumors of spending his days in brothels, had not fallen behind in cultivation. At 25 or 26 years of age, assuming he had practiced martial arts for 10 years, reaching the bone training realm was definitely outstanding in Piang County. To kill him, I still need to improve my strength. Chun Sansi had not forgotten that Liang had come looking for him. If it weren't for Wang Zhi's presence, although it wouldn't have been life-threatening, it wouldn't have been pleasant. Feeling controlled by others was truly unbearable. He didn't linger, returning the same way he had come. Did Xiang Tingchun really get the immortal treasure? Chun Sansi felt regretful, but he always felt that something was not quite right. Carefully thinking about it, witch god sect followers blending in with the common people is actually not a good way to get away. The military had already arrived, and even if they were truly ordinary people, they would definitely scrutinize their ancestry back to the 18th generation before releasing anyone after confirming there were no issues. Compared to slipping through unnoticed, they seem more like they were trying to attract attention. Had it not been for Chun Sansi, in such a chaotic scene where even the snapping of branches dozens of meters away could be heard clearly, no one would have noticed the fake monk. But there was nothing on him. Hidden away? Chun Sansi couldn't help but recall the scene when he first got the Linglong jade box. With a try-and-see attitude, he searched along the way back, not finding any signs of the soil having been disturbed. Am I overthinking it? Wait a minute. A bird's call above him drew his attention to a pine tree's bark, which had fresh signs of being stripped off. Chun Sansi immediately climbed up, and at the highest point of the trunk, he found a fist-sized tree hole. There's a snake. With quick eyes and hands, he pressed down on the snake's head and pulled it out. It was a poisonous green snake. Looking inside the hole, there was nothing else. However, there were bloodstains on the snake's lower jaw, as if it had been torn apart by someone, and scales were missing from its body. Could it be? Without hesitation, Chun Sansi used both hands to pry the snake's jaws apart, yanking to both sides, tearing the snake in half, and there it was, a piece of green jade stone, the very jade key recorded in the dashing book. Stuffing things inside a snake's belly. That's quite clever. He couldn't help but admire the ingenuity of whoever did this. Even if one made a mark on the snake, it may not be possible to find it later. It seemed that the witch god sect would rather lose the item than let it fall into someone else's hands. It must be said that this method was indeed effective. Any normal person would never have found such tiny traces. But he happened to encounter them. Chun Sansi secured the jade stone and ripped out the snake's gallbladder. The green snake wasn't worth much, but every little bit counts. After everything was done, he threw the snake's carcass back into the hole. Before long, other animals would come along, lured by the scent of blood, and clean it up. Looks like Household's Commander Xiong has made a wasted trip this time. Chun Sansi returned to the foot of the mountain. The chaos was still not over. The witch god sect followers were stubbornly resisting. The remaining 2 or 3 even took the common people as human shields and ran in different directions. Indeed, they were covering for the fake monk. After the fake monk had left, the witch god sect followers began to think of ways to save themselves. The people from the garrison had spread out in pursuit. Their ranks were quite thin, and no one was paying attention to Chun Sansi's movements. It was not until dusk that the last witch god sect follower was captured, and the cleanup of the battlefield began. In terms of casualties, 3 garrison soldiers died, and 2 were injured. Among the 2 who died, just 1 was a military soldier. The rest were array soldiers. But they killed 7 witch god sect members and captured 1 alive, all blood-refining warriors. Indeed, there's strength in numbers. After all, they had 1 flag leader and 5 small flags on their side. If the scene hadn't been so chaotic, preventing archers from being of much use, it would have been entirely possible to suffer even fewer casualties. I killed a blood-refining mastery and a small achievement. I should be able to exchange for a few bowls of blood-replenishing soup. Chun Sansi was calculating. His subordinates were also gradually returning with no casualties and having jointly killed 2 people. Okay. Stop hugging me. Zhu Tong impatiently pushed Su Wenkai away. It's all over. Look at you being such a scaredy cat. Whistle. The whistle arrow was fired again. 300 garrison soldiers were ordered to assemble in front of the Golden Bell Temple. Xiong Tingchun, with blood-stained clothes, slowly walked out of the temple gate. His He-Miao blade was broken, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth, but the human head he held in his hand declared that he had won this murderous battle. Chapter 44 Lamp Oil. 200 household commanders stepped forward to report the summary of the operation. About a month ago, followers of the witch god sect sneaked into Payang County and coerced the abbot of the Golden Bell Temple to help them conceal their identities. As for the specific reasons, they are still unclear. My lord, in this crackdown, we have slain a total of 28 followers of the witch god sect, including 6 in the bone training realm and 15 in the blood refining level. In terms of numbers, it is about the same as the previous roundup. We have also interrogated all the temple visitors and local residents on the mountain, and only let them go after confirming they were not involved. Those who could not be immediately identified have already been imprisoned in the county government's jail. Lu Jinkui, clenching his fists, said, "Theoretically speaking, it would be very difficult for anyone to escape. Very difficult." Xiong Tingchuan's eyes were like those of an eagle, staring at them. "Does that mean, however, that someone slipped through? Please forgive us, my lord." Lu Jinkui knelt on one knee. The witch god sect is treacherous and cunning, using civilians as human shields. The situation was indeed too chaotic. But even if a few got away, they were just minions and would surely not dare to cause trouble again in the future. There are some things Xiong Tingchun couldn't say outright. He fell silent for a moment, then spoke again. "Evacuate the Golden Bell Temple. Gather all the followers of the witch god sect, dead or alive, together. I will personally verify them." "Yes, sir." The bloody battle was thoroughly over. But most of that blood was that of the civilians. By rough estimates, at least 40 to 50 people were dead. Such sin. On the way down the mountain, Su Wenkai kept muttering, "If I were in command, I certainly wouldn't have let so many die in vain. Keep dreaming." Zhu Tong was also very dissatisfied with today's events. "Damn it, I thought Xiang Tingchun was something special. Turns out he's just another ruthless character willing to achieve his goals by any means necessary. Do you two no longer wish to keep your tongues?" Fang Zongqi cast a warning glance at them. "My lord, I was just joking. Commander Xiang's leadership was exquisite." Su Wenkai immediately changed his tune. Zhu Tong, however, just scoffed and said no more. Sigh. Fang Zongqi shook his head but did not pursue the matter further. "At least we have eradicated the followers of the witch god sect. No more people will die because of them." Lately, there had been no shortage of mysterious disappearances around Piyang County. Chun Sansi walked silently at the edge. For the bureaucrats of the ancient feudal dynasty, what were the common people? They were nothing more than NPCs in their simulation games, created for the value of production. As long as one could gain greater benefits from an incident, the loss of many NPCs was nothing more than a number to them. It served Xiang Tingchun right to come back empty-handed. Moreover, he couldn't openly investigate the matter. After all, it was done covertly behind the court's back. The jade box and the key are in hand. Chun Sansi quickened his pace. "I want to see for myself what this object is that they fought so fiercely over." With just one command, over 80 monks of the Golden Bell Temple were thrown into prison, and the entire temple was evacuated and sealed, forbidding anyone to go up the mountain without permission. Inside the Great Hall, the bodies of over 20 witch god sect followers were neatly lined up beneath the golden body of the Buddha, while Xiang Tingchun, holding a short knife, individually slit their bellies open, allowing blood and organs to spill out all over the floor. Where's the object? The squad leader is dead, and the followers are captured. For this, Xiang Tingchun had also suffered a minor injury, yet couldn't find what he was looking for. He had turned the entire Golden Bell Temple upside down. Footsteps sounded from outside the hall. Luo Dongquan stepped into the great hall, involuntarily retreating half a step upon seeing the filth on the floor, and saluted with his fist. "My lord, I have returned." Xiang Tingchun, angered, threw the short knife aside and asked in a deep voice, "At today's banquet, did any martial arts hall master leave midway?" Replying to "my lord," Luo Dongquan answered, "The masters of the 4 great martial arts schools, Tenyuan, Tai Lei, Zhao, and Yun He, were all present at the 8 Treasures restaurant. Wang Ji and I were watching them the whole time." Xiang Tingchun then asked, "What about their subordinates?" "They were also there." Luo Dongquan, lowering his head. "The martial arts academy disciples above the bone training realm were all called to the 8 Treasures building by me. Not one was missing." Are you sure?" Xiang Tingchun emphasized. Luo Dongquan's head hung even lower, almost touching the ground. "This subordinate is sure." "Old Luo, there's no need to be so nervous. I trust your work." Xiang Tingchun folded his arms behind his back and paced back and forth in the hall. He felt stifled inside. It seemed that the item had most likely been taken away by someone who had slipped through the net. "My lord," Luo Dongquan asked, "could it be that the immortal treasure has not been found?" Xiang Tingchun narrowed his eyes, and after pondering for a moment, he spoke. "Old Luo, go tell the 4 great martial arts schools that I have the item in my possession. If they want it, they can have it, but they must exchange something for it. First, I want an ample supply of medicinal herbs, at least doubling the amount for everyone in the garrison. Second, the 4 great martial arts schools and the local gentry must donate silver and grain to support my military campaign next spring. Third, all the martial arts schools in the city must provide me with a total of 300 men, with no fewer than 3 skilled in bone training. If they meet these 3 conditions, I will give them the immortal treasure." Luo Dongquan could not believe it. "My lord, isn't this a bit too harsh?" "Harsh?" Xiang Tingchun scoffed. "Do you know what old man Liang told me on the night of the incident?" He said that with the immortal treasure within 20 years, I could make it to the position of the great general of the Left Army Governor Mansion, and the 4 great martial arts schools could also be stationed in the capital city, joining the ranks of the first-class martial arts schools. Compared to that, what's the harm in spending some money and shedding some blood? My lord is wise, Luo Dongquan said. With money and resources, it seems that as soon as the Ministry of War's approval comes through, my lord will be able to achieve great things next year. By the way, old Luo, Xiang Tingchun changed the subject. You are nearing the refining internal stage yourself. It so happens that I remember Liangfeng has a few rare medicinal herbs. Demand them as well and I'll share half with you. Lord Thousand Households is so considerate. This subordinate will repay you with his life. Luo Dongquan thanked him and was about to carry out the orders. One more thing. Xiang Tingchun stopped him. In a while, the new county magistrate will arrive. For some reason, the selection officer from the governor mansion is coming ahead of time as well. Make sure you arrange things properly when the time comes, and don't let what happened last time occur again. Yes. Luo Dongquan complied with the order. Xiang Tingchun watched his retreating figure, his gaze deep. The immortal treasure. Either the witch god sect successfully took it away or it was hidden near the Golden Bell Temple. If it was the former, there was nothing that could be done, but if it was the latter, he could still search slowly. In any case, he should first fool the martial arts schools into paying up. Any longer and it would be too late. The emperor plans to cultivate a group of new generals in the Northern Territory. Just one impressive battle would be enough to draw attention. Once the supervisor steps down, I'm sure to be taken under the wing of the new supervisor. The Xiang family has been confined to the land of Payang County for 3 generations. In his lifetime, Xiang Tingchun was determined to break out no matter what. Even if it meant using the people of Payang as stepping stones, it didn't matter. The garrison. After assisting with headcount, Chun Sansi hurried back to his home, dug out the Linglong jade box from the underground of the backyard, and then returned to his bedroom, locking the door behind him. He pulled out the key from his pocket. The key was made of pure jade, intricately built, and not only was the pattern complex, but the tip was irregular in shape and just so happened to fit the lock of the box perfectly. Just as the records had stated, 1 box to 1 jade key. If the jade key was destroyed, not even the gods themselves could open the box. He inserted the jade key and turned the mechanism. With a click, the wooden box opened. Inside was another iron box. Fortunately, the iron box didn't need another key to be unlocked. He lifted the lid. Inside was filled with a pale yellow substance, slightly warm and soft to the touch, somewhat resembling animal fat. Lamp oil. Chapter 45 Blood Refining Minor Success. Just a box of lamp oil? Chun Sansi didn't believe it. He re-examined the Linglong jade box, confirmed there was nothing else inside except the self-destruction mechanism, and that there were no secret compartments. The witch god sect, Xiang Tingchun, the martial arts halls. Was this the thing that all these forces were desperately fighting over? According to Chun Sansi's summary, neither the martial arts halls nor Xiang Tingchun necessarily knew what the immortal treasure was. The only one with insider knowledge, the witch god sect, were all tight-lipped and refused to divulge anything. It definitely couldn't be this simple. Chun Sansi went to the doorway of the kitchen, scooped out a very small amount of lamp oil with his finger, and gently applied it to the wooden log used for splitting firewood. Then he found a fire stick and blew a tiny flame onto it. Boom! The moment the tiny flame made contact with the lamp oil, a fiery red blaze erupted violently, as if a fire dragon burrowed out from the void, instantly climbing to a height of 2 to 3 meters. In just a few breaths, the wooden log was reduced to ashes. You should know, this log was 1/2 meter in diameter and 30 centimeters high. Normal flames would struggle to light it, and if it wasn't split open, burning it completely to ash would likely take a full day and night. Even at a distance of 2 steps away, Chun Sansi felt he was almost roasted. What sort of power was this? What kind of animal fat was this? That the flames it burned with were so terrifying. Definitely not a common item, Chun Sansi admitted, somewhat shaken. The substance was powerful, but why were they so desperate to get it? to use as a weapon. He weighed the iron box, half the size of a palm in his hand. So little of it, how many times could it be used? That shouldn't warrant such a scramble, right? Chinsansi judged that the fire must have another purpose. He inspected the Linglong jade box once again, and after repeated confirmations, concluded. Indeed, there was nothing else. It seemed the method of using the flame might lie in the hands of the witch god sect. That was a dead end for now. A small disappointment welled up in Chinsansi's heart. However, the fire was very powerful, and it could indeed come in handy at a critical moment. As for its true purpose, that would have to be figured out one step at a time. My current goal is to become a selected point and enter the 8 camps. I need to enhance my strength as soon as possible. Chinsansi tidied up the items, preparing to rest well for the night, to rejuvenate. He was only a windowpane away from a breakthrough. The next day, at the military camp, Chinsansi drank a bowl of replenishing essence soup and, while his chi blood was at its peak, picked up the long spear and practiced the soldier's basic spear technique he had already mastered. It was noon, and the sun was high in the sky. Suddenly, a thundering sound of breaking the air rang out on the empty martial arts arena. It made the nearby soldiers turn their heads to look. Under the sunlight, every movement of the reed leaf gun reflected blinding golden light off its tip. As the long spear swung faster and faster, the golden lights began to connect with each other. From a distance, it appeared as if a golden snake was wildly dancing in the void, or as if a golden brush was painting majestic landscapes, creating an urge in onlookers to draw closer. Yet, the continuous fierce sounds of the air being torn apart reminded everyone that this wasn't a beautiful scene, but a lethal martial technique. The long spear whistled. The figure moved swiftly. The scene of flashing lights lasted for the time it would take half an incense stick to burn. Then, at a certain moment, everything suddenly stopped. All the golden light converged to a single point and, at a speed invisible to the naked eye, landed on the training post of the martial arts arena. Bang! The training post, as thick as an adult man's shoulder and 2 meters high, exploded outwards from the point of impact, scattering wooden splinters and chips all around, flying far before landing in the ground like a rain of arrows. Curious soldiers who loved excitement nearly got hit by the flying splinters and collapsed on the ground, thoroughly shaken. The youth slowly withdrew his spear, his defined and toned muscles glossed with sweat. Under the autumn sun, his body appeared enshrouded in steaming white vapor, as if he had emerged from flames. Small achievement. 2 strands of chi blood turned into 4, merging into the limbs. Cultivation technique. Soldier's basic spear technique. Small achievement. Progress. 0/2000. Utility. Gun movement swift. Amazing endurance, robust chi blood. Blood birth phenomenon. The newly added effect confused Chinsansi for a moment. Blood birth phenomenon. Does it refer to the blood undergoing some change? He tried to mobilize his chi blood, and noticed that his blood was exceptionally hot. Compared to before, each surge of chi blood had more explosive power. Could it be related to the bone training realm after blood refining? Congratulations, Chun Chigu. Many people came up to congratulate him. Fong Zongqi said with emotion, "Such talent really makes the rest of us envious. It's just that I've spent more silver." Chinsansi said modestly, "If I hadn't hunted for money to buy medicines, my breakthrough wouldn't have come this quickly." "What you say, isn't hunting a skill too?" Fong Zongqi was even more envious. As martial masters who had achieved great success in blood refining, they could naturally pull the heavy bow with ease. But being able to pull the bow didn't necessarily mean they could shoot accurately. Even after spending a lot of time training, they wouldn't reach too high a level, let alone achieve 100-step piercing and hit targets they could hardly see. Some things really are determined by talent. Chinsansi sought out Wang Ji in private to ask about his upcoming cultivation problems. "You've broken through again?" Wang Ji almost spat out the wine in his mouth. At this moment, his heart was no longer purely happy. The astonishment far outweighed it. Less than a month into martial arts, and he had already walked a path that takes most people many years, or even their entire life to travel. Heaven truly wasn't fair. 100 households Wang. Chan Sansi asked, "Is there anything I need to be wary of after achieving great success in blood refining, and is there a connection to the bone training realm?" "Not bad insight," Wang Ji said, holding his wine bowl and explaining. "Blood refining is, as it suggests, training the blood. After achieving great success, the qi blood flows through the entire body, and then you can start bone training. Only with high-quality qi blood can the bones and flesh forged by the blood be better in the future. This is also why I gave you the Howren breathing skill in the beginning. Blood refining is the foundation, and without a solid foundation, you're starting at a loss. You should be able to feel it. Among those of the same realm as you, there are very few who are a match for your 3 unions. As you progress, the gap will become even wider. Refining bones with blood. Blood indeed plays a crucial role in the upcoming realms." Chun Sansi wasn't sure if the blood birth phenomenon was exclusive to his proficiency panel, so he didn't bring it up for the time being, planning to see the effects first. "You kid, you're really something." Wang Ji calculated with his fingers. "Your cultivation speed is fast enough. Our garrison is about to receive a large batch of medicinal materials, and you are likely to start bone training before next spring." Chun Sansi picked out the key point from his words. "Is the garrison about to receive medicinal materials soon?" "Heh, don't even mention it." Wang Ji found it interesting, took a sip of wine and said, "Yesterday at 8 Treasures Building, those old bastards from the martial arts halls were acting all haughty, saying the garrison was confining them, and they wanted to find someone to petition against us. But this morning, they changed their tune completely. They declared they would fully support our Lord Thousand Households campaign against the barbarians next year. Once the 4 great martial arts schools agreed, the local squires and rich merchants also had to fork out money. This time, we're going to strike it rich." Chen Sansi was skeptical. From the sounds of it, had Xiang Tingchun succeeded in getting leverage over the martial arts halls? But with the item in his hands, why would the martial arts halls obediently follow orders? Unless Xiang Tingchun was playing a game of bluffing, quite a calculation, not afraid of being exposed at all. That afternoon, close to dusk, Wang Ji's words came to fruition. Disciples from various martial arts academies came in droves, pulling carts and delivering countless supplies. "The warehouse for medicinal materials is on the left. Grain to the right. Isn't the quantity here incorrect? You're short by 200 stones of grain. Make sure it arrives before sundown tomorrow." The chief storekeeper led several clerks, verifying the quantities of supplies cart by cart. The long-unused warehouses of the military camp were being utilized once more, and the grain storehouses were filled to the brim so much so that the sacks were almost spilling over. Consecutive poor harvests. The big households had plenty of grain. Buzz! The assembly call was sounded, and the order officers summoned everyone to the martial arts arena, proclaiming that Lord Thousand Households had an important announcement to make. Chapter 46: The War is Coming. Martial Arts Arena. Apart from those looking out from the Great Wall, all the officers and soldiers at the garrison were assembled. Xiang Tingchun strode onto the high platform with a bold step. Even from dozens of steps away, everyone could sense that Lord Thousand Households was in high spirits. "Brothers!" Xiang Tingchun's voice boomed like a great bell. "Today, I have 2 matters to announce. Do you still remember, at the beginning of our nation's founding during the Yongchang era, our court had over 3 million soldiers, yet not one lacked food or clothing, and all were high in fighting spirit. Alas, calamities and disasters have been unending since then, to the point where our Piyang County even experienced wage and food shortages in the early years, resulting in many brothers suffering from hunger and cold, who were forced to flee and become refugees. I, Xiang Tingchun, hold an inescapable responsibility for presiding over this place. I apologize to all the brothers here. However, that kind of situation will absolutely never happen again. The 4 great martial arts schools and many elders in Piyang County really could not bear to see the brothers protecting our nation endure such hardships. Hence, they have donated a large amount of provisions, medicinal materials, as well as horses. Therefore, the first matter is, starting from today, the salary for every array soldier will increase by half a month, with an extra stone of food. For military soldiers, their monthly salary will double, as will the provision of blood-replenishing soup. For military officers, their remuneration will double. Additionally, from now on, you can purchase all kinds of medicinal materials directly in the barracks, at half the price of outside pharmacies. Having said this, the crowd erupted into cheers. Double. A stone of food every month? What did a stone of food per month mean during years of bad harvest? It meant that this year, not only could everyone survive the cold winter without hunger, but they might even have some money left over to buy winter clothes. The military soldiers were equally excited. The vast majority who joined the army came from poor families. Where could they afford blood-replenishing soup priced at 10 taels a portion? Yet relying solely on the garrison's provision was far too insufficient for increasing their cultivation. What the Lord Thousand Households said was like manna from heaven for them. Zhu Tong clenched his fist. With enough blood-replenishing soup, I too have the chance to advance further in the martial arts. Like him and Wang Li, they actually had fair talent. It was only their poverty that held them back. While everyone was busy rejoicing, Su Wenkai slightly shook his head. I'm afraid we're headed for war, and it's going to be a tough fight. Really? Zhu Tong was skeptical. That makes sense. Why else would those bastards from the martial arts hall suddenly be willing to fork out the money for us? There must be a catch. Let me finish speaking. Xiang Tingchun signaled for silence. Next, the second matter. It must be clear to everyone why the Piyang Thousand Households was established. To fend off the barbarians from the alien race. For thousands of years, the barbarian tribes have coveted our houses and fields, longing to enslave our wives, children, and elders, and to use our heads to fertilize their pastures. It was the Grand Ancestor and his successors who personally led expeditions against them numerous times, beating them so badly they couldn't raise their heads for 200 years. But now, they are eager to move again, wanting to revive the tragedy of the former dynasty. How can we, as men of valor, sit and await death? With the approval of an official document from the War Department, I as the official will lead a campaign to exterminate the barbarian tribes around the Shi River at the start of next spring. Therefore, I hope that in the coming days, brothers will train diligently so that you can serve the court well on the battlefield later. As long as you slay enough enemies, becoming a noble or a general is not impossible. After these words were spoken, the martial arts arena fell silent, a stark contrast to the excitement before. Become a noble or a general. There really weren't many with such grand ambitions. They simply wished to lead a safe and stable life. But since they were part of the army, fighting and killing on the battlefield was an unavoidable fate. Fortunately, it was always better to go to battle on a full stomach than on an empty one. This was also why Xiang Tingchun went to great lengths to secure funds and provisions from the martial arts hall. An army without full pay will have no fighting will. Conversely, with great rewards, there will be brave men. A troop can possess combat effectiveness only when it has sufficient resources, ensuring it won't collapse at the first blow. Announcing this in advance is not a cause for concern regarding alarming the snake in the grass. The barbarians always had spies among us. The large-scale donation of funds and provisions by the martial arts hall fools would know what was being prepared for. Instead of keeping everyone in the dark, it's better to start training in advance to prepare both mentally and physically. After finishing his speech, Xiang Tingchun strode away, giving the soldiers time to digest his words. Chen Sansi had been mentally prepared for some time. The selected point assessment would take place after the spring season. In other words, before he went to the 8 camps to participate in the selected point assessment, he would also be a part of this battle. Mr. Su, Chen Sansi asked, do you know the combat strength of the barbarian tribes around the Shi River area? You've asked the right person. Su Wenkai replied without hesitation. I, lacking in many talents, once dedicated 5 years to studying the distribution of the barbarian military forces. The Shi River tribe is a branch of the Yuan lineage. They have been living in this area for several decades and have well-trained soldiers. A conservative estimate would be 2,000 men. Among them, there is one with refining internal skills, and the numbers of blood refining and bone training military officers are roughly the same as those in our 1,000 households garrison. However, they have more horses than we do, and their archers are of higher quality. Chun Sansi pondered, in your opinion, how much chance do we have of victory when the spring begins next year? Please come with me, sir. Su Wenkai led him to a secluded and vacant corner and started drawing in the sand with a stick. Almost all the important strategic passes along the northern border of our Shang dynasty are in constant friction with the barbarian tribes, so it's certain no spare troops will be sent to reinforce us. At most, the Yingding Prefecture Guard might deploy another 1,000 households garrison to back us up, ensuring that if we suffer a defeat outside the Great Wall, it would prevent the barbarians from conquering Payang County. But they would definitely not leave the safety of the city to join the battle lightly. That is to say, our 1,000 households garrison is essentially an isolated force. What are you two whispering about? Zhu Tong quietly approached. What are you scribbling with that broken stick? Big lug. Don't get in the way. Su Wenkai stroked his beard, looking at the simple military distribution on the ground, and said perplexed, it's strange indeed. Waging war against the barbarians is a matter of national importance. Why send only 1,000 or so men to attack a scattered tribe? Success or failure won't make much difference in the grand scheme of things. Sir, what are your thoughts on this? Chun Sansi answered, this is a performance to show off one's capabilities to the superiors. Wise as always, sir, I feel the same way. Su Wenkai surveyed their surroundings before continuing in a cautious tone. Household's Commander Xiang is planning to achieve success at the cost of countless lives. That statement was still somewhat understated. To put it bluntly, Xiang Tingchun was ready to use the lives of 900 men from the Payang 1,000 households garrison to secure his own future. The reason the Ministry of War might have agreed was probably because the matter involved various powerful factions within the court. The waters ran deep. As for our odds of victory, Su Wenkai continued, the barbarian warriors are robust and their horses strong, but they aren't skilled in military formations. Furthermore, the nomadic tribes are at their weakest at the onset of spring each year. If we can get more bone training martial masters from the martial arts hall to assist us, and if the Yingding Prefecture is ready to back us up, we could win. But it would definitely be a Pyrrhic victory. Zhu Tong, who had been confused the whole time, finally understood the last part. How dire would that be? Su Wenkai gravely said, both of us would have to die. That's quite dire indeed. Zhu Tong grabbed his collar. Lazybones, don't you often brag about your warfighting abilities? Then think of a way. How can we avoid a disaster? Su Wenkai spoke earnestly. I do have a strategy that could at least reduce our losses by 20%. Only 20%? Zhu Tong disdainfully retorted. What's the difference between that and no reduction at all? I'm Wolong, not an immortal. Saving 20% of the forces in this type of siege warfare would be a great saving of manpower. Su Wenkai tossed aside the stick. I need to offer my strategy to the commander. With that, he ran towards where Xiang Tingchun had his offices. Zhu Tong counted on his fingers. With over 900 men in our garrison, what does 20% amount to? Chun Sansi said with resignation. It's reducing 20% of the casualties, not saying that the whole army will be wiped out. Then how many is that? Zhu Tong was even more puzzled. Before he could figure it out, Su Wenkai returned. He quickly asked, how did it go? What did Lord 1,000 households say? Su Wenkai was so angry that his face turned red, and he stomped his foot shouting, incompetent commander, incompetent commander. The commander's tent wasn't far away. Chun Sansi, following the direction of the wind, faintly heard a get out. He shook his head and stood up to leave. The battle was inevitable, and he never intended to avoid it. However, it seemed that he really needed to undergo bone training before the spring. After bone training, one could withstand blades and weaponry, not losing combat effectiveness from minor wounds on the battlefield. Chapter 47. The Dead Man. Ever since Xiang Tingchun announced the plan for the coming spring, the military discipline at the household's garrison had become much more stringent. The daily drills had doubled, and anyone leaving the camp needed to ask for leave in advance. Even the several hundred households were no longer allowed to spend their days indulging in food and drink. They were required to participate in the drills as well. However, the military households were very obedient, because they had achieved days of being well-fed and well-clothed. Those with a pursuit in martial arts were also able to drink more blood-replenishing soup and enhance their martial arts. For 10 consecutive days, Chun Sansi practiced martial arts within the military settlements. Cultivation technique. Soldier's basic spear technique. Small achievement. Progress. 550/2000. Utility. Gun movement swift. Amazing endurance. Strong chi blood. Blood birth phenomenon. The tiger heart and tiger meat had long been consumed, and the 9 turns blood replenishing soup had been drunk clean. Fortunately, there was significant improvement in proficiency. Furthermore, purchasing medicinal ingredients had become much cheaper. The 9 turns blood replenishing soup was now available in the barracks, and it was only being sold for 15 taels of silver. Yet it was still expensive. Time to go hunting again. The bottomless pit. Ah, if it were not for practicing martial arts, Chun Sansi would probably have become a wealthy man by now. White deer. By hunting a white deer, even after setting aside what he needed for himself, he could still sell it for several hundred taels. Not only would resources sufficient for blood-refining minor success be secured, but bone training was also almost within reach. But such white deer were not so easily captured. The Travels Through Mountains and Rivers was a book from a millennium ago. Since its publication, countless people had flocked to the Hutu mountain range to capture them. It was fortunate they had not gone extinct. He had inquired about information, and it seemed that the Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy had not found one even after searching for half a month. Chun Sansi arrived at the pharmacy. Do you have lingji for sale in the barracks? White deer, fond of treasure mushrooms. Medical Officer Jiang quickly brought out a brown lingji from the storeroom. This 20-year-old black Ganoderma, ground into powder and added to soup medicine, can enhance the effects of replenishing essence soup, 10 taels of silver. Do you have any fresh ones? Chun Sansi observed that the lingji had obviously been dry for a long time. Hey, you're in luck. There actually is. Medical Officer Jiang took out another box, inside of which was a fiery red lingji. This was delivered by Yunhe Martial Arts Hall just this morning, 30-year-old Red Cloud Ganoderma, 20 taels. However, it is for healing injuries, and does not greatly help in improving chi blood. Chun Sansi said, It doesn't matter, as long as it counts as a treasure mushroom. Treasure mushroom? Jiang, the medical officer, shook his head. At the very least, it has to be over 100 years old. One is worth 50 taels. A 20-year-old lingji cannot be considered a treasure mushroom. Such expensive medicinal materials are not currently available at our garrison. You'll have to buy them outside. 50 taels. Chun Sansi was shocked by the price. The bait alone was worth 50 taels, and there was no guarantee that a white deer could even be caught. It was only because the reward offered by the Tai Lei Martial Arts Hall was so high that their disciples were willing to spend so much money on hunting it. Chun Sansi, for the time being, really couldn't come up with that much silver. He decided to try his luck first and find another way if it didn't work. Having made up his mind, Chun Sansi asked Wang Ji for leave and left the barracks with his bow and arrows. Sansi, as he was passing near Yanbian village, Zhao Chao caught up with him. Uncle Zhao, you're not going up the mountain to hunt? Chun Sansi was somewhat surprised. After the Northern Territory's winter arrives, the snow would seal the mountains, making it hard to hunt anymore. Hunters should be the most diligent in the late autumn. Zhao Chao said with a bitter face. It's not that I don't want to, it's that I don't dare. Don't dare. Chun Sansi asked, What's happened? Has someone been bullying you? It's the witch god sect. Zhao Chao's tone was filled with anger and fear. Recently, every day for the past 10 days, people have been disappearing from the countryside, especially the hunters from the surrounding villages, many of whom have not returned since going up the mountains. Are you sure, Uncle Zhao? Chun Sansi solemnly said, I took part in the mission to encircle and suppress the Golden Bell Temple. I was personally involved, and 99% of the witch god sect followers were slain on the spot. Even if one or two slipped through the net, they couldn't possibly stir up more trouble. Could it be that a big worm or a black bear has come down the mountain to eat people? It's impossible, absolutely impossible. Uncle Zhao said excitedly. There are no bones left, do you understand, Shancher? Not even bones can be found. Even if it were a big worm, it should leave some bones behind. Uncle Zhao, don't get worked up. Chan Sansi said soothingly. Have you reported this to the authorities? Of course, we did report it. Zhao Qiao said. The lord at the county office said they would look into it thoroughly and told us to wait. But to date, there has been no progress. Just yesterday, little Li from the next village risked going up the mountain to hunt a wild chicken to nourish his pregnant wife, and now he is nowhere to be found. Chen Sansi frowned. Even if there were one or two witch god sect followers left, they couldn't cause such a huge commotion. There must be another group involved. Could it be that Golden Bell Temple was just one of them? But at the same time, it doesn't make sense to have so many people infiltrate Pyong. Furthermore, in the last few days, he hadn't heard anything in the military garrison about deploying people to hunt down the followers of the witch god sect. Uncle Zhao, rest assured. Chun Sansi said, after I return, I will report this to my superiors. There's something else. Zhao Qiao said somewhat embarrassingly, but still spoke up, Shancher, could you let us follow you up the mountain? Winter is almost here, and we haven't prepared enough charcoal and winter clothes for our homes. But with what has been happening recently, who dares to venture into the mountains? You know martial arts and can even kill a big worm. With you, we would not be afraid. It seemed he had been waiting on this path for a very long time. It was even possible that he had been waiting for several days, just to finally catch him going out hunting. Of course you can. Chin Sansi agreed readily. Thank you, Shancher. Zhao Qiao was somewhat at a loss for words. A month ago, the other party had come knocking on his door with food, asking him to lead the way to Second Layer Mountain. A month later, he found himself in need of the young man's protection. Soon, Zhao Qiao called over Wu De and Zhuang Yi, and the four of them set off for the mountain together. At the familiar creek, they parted ways. Chun Sansi instructed, Uncle Zhao, if you encounter danger, fire a whistle arrow, and I'll come running as soon as I hear it. All right, Shancher, you be careful too. Though we can't be of much help to you, Zhao Qiao said. Chun Sansi turned and plunged into the mountain forest. So many deaths, wasn't that a bit exaggerated? It made him somewhat nervous. However, after walking forward for about 2 li, he didn't notice anything amiss. There were still many martial arts academy disciples hunting. The people from Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy were still searching for the white deer. I'll go back and tell 100 households Wang to help look into it. Chun Sansi focused his attention and began searching for tracks of the white deer. Unlike before, whether it was a big worm or a black bear, Uncle Zhao would point out the general direction. This time it was all up to him, and even with tracking skills it might be troublesome. After all, there's no record in books about where white deer live, and with the Huda mountain range stretching for thousands of miles, it's uncertain how much time it would take to find one. Let's search deeper. Common deer species like to dwell in deep, secluded places. The white deer is also a deer, and its habits might not be so different. Chun Sansi began to traverse the mountains. By the afternoon, after crossing over 2 mountain tops, he had not yet seen any sign of the white deer. However, the vegetation became increasingly dense, nearly leaving no place to set foot. Gazing into the distance, he could see a valley about 5 li away, quiet and profound. Let's have a look. Chun Sansi harnessed his energy and hurried forward, ready to explore. But before he could get close, several disciples in long robes rushed out, forming a human wall to block his path. Halt! You are not permitted to go any further. Chapter 48 Medicine Valley. Stop right there. Why should I stop? As he spoke, Chun Sansi had already knocked a wolf-teeth arrow onto the string of the Kaiyuan bow in his hand. You! You have such a murderous aura. The martial arts academy disciples looked at each other, involuntarily stepping back several paces. We haven't even struck you, so why come up and want to shoot people? That's right. Someone accused. We're telling you to stop because ahead is private property. Private property? Chen Sansi was skeptical. The martial arts academy disciple continued. The valley ahead is the medicine garden of our Tianyuan Martial Arts Academy. Isn't that private property? The Tianyuan Martial Arts Academy's medicine garden? Chen Sansi had heard from the medical officer Jiang before that many of the lands suitable for cultivating medicinal herbs nearby had been sold to the martial arts hall. It seemed he had stumbled upon it by mistake. Tianyuan Martial Arts Academy, that is, the Liang family's territory. The Tianyuan Martial Arts Academy didn't do much business in medicinal materials, but that doesn't mean they didn't have their own medicine garden. Such a large valley it is. The surname Liang, at the age of 25 or 6, could engage in bone training. He must have consumed a lot of medicinal materials. What's all this noise about? Young master. A brocade-clad young master holding a folding fan approached, and the disciples stepped aside. It was the eldest young master of Tianyuan Martial Arts Academy, Liang Zhan. Young master, a disciple complained. A guy from the garrison came here, and we didn't even do anything to him, but he came up wanting to shoot us with arrows, so arrogant. Oh, Brother Chen? When Liang Zhan saw who had come, he rebuked his subordinates. Even my brother you dare to stop. If you get shot, you deserve it. Young master, it was he. Smack! Liang Zhan knocked on the disciple's head with his fan. Stand down. Yes, sir. The martial arts academy disciples all stepped back. Brother Chen, I trust you've been well. Liang Zhan gave a fist salute. Last time, I intruded upon you rudely, and I am here to offer an apology. There's no need. Chen Sansi couldn't be bothered to bicker with this man, so he put away his bow and arrow and left. Killing this fellow for the time being was out of the question. The other party wouldn't dare to make a move on him lightly, and there was no need to waste time here. Liang Zhan didn't stop him, silently watching as the other man walked away. Young master, a disciple approached. Are we just letting him go like that? Nonsense, Liang Zhan scolded. You want to provoke him and have him bring over the soldiers from the garrison? Think before you act next time. Do I really need to come out and smooth things over for you? By the way, what is he doing in the Medicine Valley? The disciple speculated. Lately, people everywhere are looking for the white deer. Looking for the white deer? Liang Zhan swayed his folding fan. As I recall, you need a treasure to find the white deer, don't you? Do we still have 100-year-old treasure in our medicine garden? If so, pick one and send it to him later. Young master, the disciple voiced in surprise. 100-year-old treasure is worth a great many dozens of silver. If I tell you to send it, you send it. Liang Zhan turned and walked into the valley. The fact that Chen Sansi achieved blood-refining minor success after practicing martial arts for a month had already spread from the barracks. In his life, everything he did was after careful deliberation, yet the one thing he regretted was offending this man in his efforts to help Qin Feng. But who could have imagined that a poor hunter from the countryside would turn out to be a martial arts prodigy? Most terrifying was that this kid held grudges. Moreover, the grudge deepened when he came knocking on the door, questioning him in a strong-arm manner. Every time he thought about how Qin Feng's remains hadn't even been found to date, Liang Zhan felt a chill down his spine. Simply killing him? He wasn't tired of living yet. Not to mention Fatty Wang was protecting him. Xiang Tingchun also needed people. If he dared to touch Chen Sansi, Xiang Tingchun would dare to forcibly push him to the grassland as a vanguard to die next year. What he feared now was that, as days passed, the youngster's cultivation would skyrocket to a height utterly unshakable. In comparison, if he could resolve the enmity early, what was spending some silver worth? Even if the enmity could not be resolved, now was not the moment to turn hostile. A suitable opportunity was needed to make a move against him. What's that Liang fellow hiding deep in the mountains for? Whether it's for gathering herbs or planting, There's no need for the young master himself to come, let alone with so many people in tow, not allowing anyone to approach within 2 miles. Wait a minute. The hunters who've gone missing on the mountain, could they be related to them? A terrible speculation suddenly rose in Chun Sansi's heart. But there were logical inconsistencies. Why would the martial arts school kill people for no reason? I must be overthinking it. Chun Sansi refocused on his search for the white deer. Unfortunately, by evening he still hadn't had any luck. It seems I'll need to use the treasure as bait after all. First, I'll have to hunt something else to exchange for some silver. Exotic beasts are hard to find, but fierce ones are not. In a dense forest, Chun Sansi found the paw prints of a large cat on the ground. Susu. No sooner had he stepped into the territory than he heard light leaping sounds from overhead, rapidly approaching from the southeast, northwest, all directions. In the dim forest, spots of eerie green light flickered on. Those were the pupils of cheetahs. 5 cheetahs stood atop the trees, looking down from a distance at the intruder on the ground. Ayo! They attacked simultaneously, rushing towards the hunter in the middle with incredible speed, in a pincer move. Cheetahs are born swift. A distance of around 50 feet for them takes only 4 or 5 seconds. For an ordinary hunter, such a brief span of time would be enough to fire 1 or 2 arrows. The targets would still be fast-moving, and there was no guarantee of hitting them. Once they got close enough to tear and bite, the hunter either had to fight hand-to-hand and win or become a meal in the belly of the beast. On the ground, Chun Sansi took a deep breath. Then, his bowstring snapped like thunder. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. He became a hunting machine, firing arrows in rapid succession in different directions, each one striking its target's heart with unerring precision. In just over 3 seconds, 4 cheetahs fell to the ground. Only the cheetah from behind, shielded by the trees, had managed to get closer. It leaped from the tree, revealing claws and teeth sharp as sword blades. But it was pierced through by a glint of cold light, suspended forever in midair. Chun Sansi's reed leaf spear had been waiting for a long time. Plain and simple, a cheetah hunt. Tracking concealed presence, small achievement. Progress, 105/1000. Skill, Archery, small achievement. Progress, 190/1000. The 5 cheetahs. He kept the most valuable parts for himself, and the rest could sell for 30 or 40 taels of silver. Adding that to the silver saved at home, it just about added up to enough money to buy the treasure. Chun Sansi stuffed all the cheetahs into the net he had brought and then carried it on his back, returning the way he came. By the stream, Zhao Qiao and the others had been waiting since morning. Their earnings were dismal, only a few wild chickens and rabbits. They were no longer surprised by the young man catching a cheetah. "Did you encounter any danger?" Chun Sansi asked.
No.
Zhao Qiao shook his head. "The 3 of us stuck together, didn't run into any danger." "Uncle Zhao, it's not just the mountain hunters who are missing, is it?" Chun Sansi pressed on. "That's not the case," Wuda intercepted. "Many people were still at home on the previous evening, yet they disappeared the next morning. Not only the countryside, but there are also disappearances in the county town, although not as many as in the countryside. Am I being paranoid?" Chun Sansi glanced toward the direction of the Medicine Valley and didn't linger any longer, joining the others to descend the mountain, mulling over the matter in his heart. There must be a secret to this. It's definitely not something the witch god Sek's love for killing can explain. His thoughts went to the lamp oil that could ignite crimson flames. Could it be related to the lamp oil? After all, these troubles first began when the immortal treasure appeared in Payang. Before that, Payang County was a place where birds wouldn't even poop. Where would all this chaos come from? Even if the likelihood of a connection was small, Chun Sansi would still try to investigate. Having the immortal treasure in his possession but not knowing how to use it was also troubling. Chapter 49, Able to Bend and Stretch. County Town. It was almost exactly as Chun Sansi had estimated. The most valuable parts of the cheetah were the gallbladder and heart, with the remaining parts totaling 46 taels of silver when sold. After handling the goods, he rushed back to the garrison before nightfall. Running back and forth like this is really a waste of time. Still, I need some sort of transport. Recently, Chun Sansi had been cultivating day and night, barely practicing with his arrows, and he had only visited the stables once. Thinking it over, he didn't go home but instead went to the military camp. Nay! The white horse became restless and neighed as soon as he approached the stables, continuously stomping its hooves as if threatening. Chun Sansi's temper flared in an instant. The moment he opened the gate, the white swan horse charged crazily towards the outside. Chun Sansi grabbed the saddle in one swift motion and leapt onto the horse's back, directly giving it a whip. The white swan horse, pained by the whip, ran even more fiercely, trying with all its might to throw off the rider. Chun Sansi steadied himself while using the reins to forcefully make the horse run in the direction he directed. With his minor success in blood refining, his chi power was naturally not something a horse could resist. At first, the white swan horse continued to struggle, but as time passed, perhaps because it was drained, or perhaps realizing that resistance was futile, it gradually became obedient. After half an hour, it was as responsive as an arm extension. In Chun Sansi's hands, the reins were as easy to manipulate as a steering wheel, moving as he willed. Skill. Horse control. Entry level. Progress. 0/200. Utility. The horse acknowledges its master, minds melding. A treasure horse? The system called it a treasure horse. It seems its bloodline is indeed not bad, just a bit stubborn. As for mind melding, it's an indescribable, mystical feeling. If he had to describe it, Chun Sansi felt that the white swan horse, despite their short time together, was as familiar as an old dog that had been in the family for 20 years, with a telepathic understanding, able to mutually grasp each other's intentions. This was crucial. On the battlefield, the bond between a military officer and his warhorse was the closest of comradeships. A good coordination could sometimes save lives. He remembered reading in a book of dashing that the grand ancestor Chao Xie had once been a house slave in charge of tending horses for a prominent family and had formed a bond with a young colt. Later, during a pursuit, it was that colt that had saved Chao Xie's life. Otherwise, there would have been no dashing dynasty from the Chao family. Having tamed the white swan horse, Chun Sansi planned to go home and rest. When they reached the stable, however, the white swan horse was very resistant, indicating it did not want to live in the cramped stables. Chun Sansi didn't mind. His home had plenty of space for keeping a horse, so he decided to bring the fodder and stone trough back home as well. Brother Shi looks quite impressive. Gu Xinlan watched her man riding a horse into the courtyard and couldn't help but feel her heart flutter. Even though he was just a flag officer, in her eyes, Brother Shi increasingly resembled the generals in the folk tales. Ravenous, Chun Sansi ate dinner and then consumed a leopard's gallbladder before continuing to practice with his spear in the courtyard. The spear whistled through the air like thunder, and surprisingly, the horse wasn't scared at all. It just stood under the osmanthus tree watching him, occasionally nibbling on some fodder until it was utterly exhausted late at night and fell asleep standing up. After finishing his spear practice, Sister Lan had also boiled some hot water for Chun Sansi to bathe and change his clothes. I have finished processing the tiger skin you brought back. Gu Xinlan showed the tiger skin rug. How about I turn it into a garment for you? It would definitely keep you warm in the winter. Chun Sansi lounged in the bath barrel. Wear it for me to see. Ah! Before Gu Xinlan could react, the man added, I mean, wear just that and nothing else. Brother Shi. Gu Xinlan's cheeks reddened to her neck. Who have you been learning from? Your tricks are getting more numerous. Who makes someone dress up as a tigress? The next day, white dew clusters softened the morning with the sound of horse hooves. Chun Sansi rode the white swan horse to the military camp for roll call. After the training had ended, he came to Wang Ji's tent to report the possibility of the witch godsex presence in Pyong, hoping he would inform the 100 households to dispatch someone for an investigation. Then, he requested a day off, preparing to head back to the mountains. He was determined to capture the white deer. Not to mention a pressing need for a heavy bow, The white deer itself was also a powerful supplement, increasing cultivation speed faster than even the tiger heart. Even if he had to spend 50 taels on bait, it was worth trying. After requesting the leave, Chun Sansi had not yet left the tent when his subordinate Wang Li approached him. "Sir," Wang Li reported, "someone from Tianyuan Martial Arts Academy wants to see you." "From the Liang family?" Chun Sansi hesitated for a moment. "Let him in. If they were to meet, it would be in the military camp." Soon, Wang Li led the visitor in, but it was not Liang Zhan himself, rather a disciple from the Tianyuan Martial Arts Academy. Chun Chigu. The disciple first gave a fist salute, then took out a delicate sandalwood box from his bosom. "My master knows you have been hunting deer recently, and has specially picked 100-year-old treasure fungus from the Medicine Valley. Additionally, my master also has a message for you. There has been some misunderstanding with Chun Chigu before. He hopes you'll accept this as an apology and convert enmity into friendship. If you need help in the future, my master will definitely support you strongly." Chun Sansi pondered the other's intent. The Liang, are they afraid of him? That seemed unlikely. The local ruffian Qin Xiong once showed fear when faced with a Bao, which was understandable. But Liang Zhan was a bone-training martial artist, who had bravely fought against Witch God sect followers. Why would he feel the need to apologize to him, an ordinary blood-refining warrior? Such a capacity to bend or stand erect. This person must not be underestimated. Chun Sansi was on high alert. He initially intended to refuse the treasure fungus, but seeing 100 households Wang's eyes gleaming, he changed his mind. "I'll accept the item. Thank my regards to Mr. Liang." Wang Ji had traits worth learning. When dealing with such people, there was no need to speak of righteousness. Sugar-coated bullets. Sometimes one must swallow the sugar and spit out the bullets. Perfect. Spending 50 taels of silver on bait was extravagant. Better to buy supplemental medicine to enhance cultivation. "Good that you've accepted it." The Martial Arts Academy disciple breathed a sigh of relief. "Before coming here, my master instructed that if Chun Chigu did not accept the gift, I was not to return." "What about mine?" Wang Ji held back for a long while. "My lord and your master are close friends and fellow travelers. Doesn't he have anything for me?" 100 households Wang. This. The Martial Arts Academy disciple coughed awkwardly. "I must return to report. I'll take my leave first." Having said that, he left hurriedly without looking back. "Tch," Wang Ji cursed. "The Liang family is truly a bunch of opportunists, knowing that you will soon enter the 8 camps and be recruited into the governor mansion. They think to ingratiate themselves with you. But," he spoke earnestly, "you must put in more effort. The more they respect you now, the greater the backlash you will face if you fail in the selected point in the future." Chun Sansi clearly understood this principle. That made it all the more important to cherish his time. He took up his weapon, mounted the White Swan horse, and left the military camp, heading straight for Tiger Head Mountain. With the treasure fungus, the likelihood of finding the white deer should greatly increase. Chapter 50 White Deer. At last, he didn't have to go out on foot anymore. Riding a horse not only saved energy but also increased his speed. When the White Swan horse ran at full speed, it gave Chun Shanshur the feeling of flying in the sky, as if his hooves barely touched the ground. He must have covered 1,000 miles by now, right? He hadn't even estimated the time when he had already arrived at Yanbian village. He called for Zhao Qiao to join him and tied the horse in front of Zhao's house. The mountain was rugged and home to wild animals. Naturally, one couldn't ride a horse up the mountain. The group arrived at a small stream. "Uncle Zhao, why don't we cross the river with Shanshur?" Unable to bear it anymore, Wuda said, "This mountain isn't theirs. Why shouldn't we go?" "Uncle, I think it's feasible too." Zhuang Yi, scratching his head, said, "If we follow Brother Chun, they definitely won't dare to mess with us." "No way." Zhao Qiao was adamant. "Don't make trouble for Shanshur." He pushed the two away. Chun Shanshur didn't interrupt. It wasn't that he was afraid of trouble. Indeed, the people from the martial arts hall wouldn't dare to mess with Zhao Qiao and others in his presence. But what about after they separated? Chun Shanshur needed to train and fight wars. He couldn't possibly spend all his time protecting them, unless he could truly make the people from the martial arts hall fear him from the bottom of their hearts. Clearly, it wasn't yet the time for that. After parting ways with the others, Chun Shanshur headed directly into the depths of North Mountain. He encountered prey along the way but didn't stop. He kept going until he reached the summit, where he paused to survey the surrounding mountain peaks from a high vantage point. Among them, a peak that was entirely red stood out sharply. The mountain was covered with maple trees, resembling a vast sea of fire. Generally speaking, deer should prefer to live in the green forest where food is plentiful. But the reason why exotic beasts are called exotic isn't only because of their unique lineage. Their requirements for living environments might also differ from others. Since he hadn't found any in several green forests, it was worth a try. The two mountains were not far apart, roughly 10 miles away. As Chun Shanshur approached Feng Mountain, he discovered many people from Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy nearby. Among them was Wei Su, whom he recognized, along with some others who seemed to hold higher positions. This group gathered here must have discovered something, indicating that he hadn't gone to the wrong place. As expected, when he got closer, he heard their discussion. Yesterday afternoon, just halfway up the mountain, Mr. Wu almost caught the white deer. But that animal has an astonishing sense of hearing. It detected us from tens of yards away. With a jump several meters high, it disappeared in the blink of an eye. However, it must still be on this mountain. Mr. Wu said we don't need to capture it ourselves. If we can help locate its general vicinity, there will be a hefty reward. Even though they kept their voices very low, Chun Shanshur could hear every word clearly. Jumping several meters high, no wonder the white deer tendon could be used to make a heavy bow. Since it had appeared, it must have left behind traces. No matter how subtle the signs, he could find them. He suddenly had a target and quickly headed to the mountainside. How come he's here too? Wei Su saw the armored youth and couldn't help feeling anxious. Big brother, this is the guy I told you about before. The one who hunted a big worm alone and even shot an arrow at me. Oh no, what if he finds the white deer before us? What are you waiting for? Hurry up and search. Our lavish fortune depends entirely on that white deer. Joking aside, if they managed to cure the old master's injury, inheriting a shop would mean no more worries for the rest of their lives. Midway up the mountain, within the dense maple forest, fiery red fallen leaves were everywhere. Several arrows were embedded in the ground, clearly the remnants of a failed hunting attempt. Chun Sansi bent over, meticulously searching around the arrows. Soon, he found a strand of snow-white hair on a red maple leaf. Ordinary deer hair is stiff, as thick as a needle. But the hair of the white deer was as soft as cotton and even finer than down. Every 30 steps or so, he would find a few such hairs. Following them through several patches of woodland from the middle of the mountain to the other side of the peak, he ended up at a dead end with only a cliff in sight. Chun Sansi lay on the edge of the cliff, looking down. The cliff wasn't very deep, about 40 to 50 meters. Fortunately, there were plenty of footholds, and relying on his light as a feather skill, he clambered down the cliff with the agility of a nimble monkey in no time at all. At the base of the cliff, everything reverted from fiery red to the dark green typical of a forest. The area teemed with birds and beasts and was rich in a variety of plants and trees, truly brimming with life. It seemed like a place where the white deer would live. Chun Sansi opened the sandalwood box he had brought, inside which lay a shiny black, cloud-shaped lingji. A breeze wafted by, carrying a unique fragrance that instantly refreshed the mind. Indeed, it was a treasure. He placed the lingji in the clearing and then hid themselves 10 meters away in the dense woods, preparing the arrow and fully drawing the bowstring. Keeping the bow fully drawn was a massive drain on strength for most people. Chun Sansi did this because he knew the white deer had ears that heard in all directions. It was highly likely it could hear the sound of the bowstring being drawn. This was probably why the Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy's people had failed. They had been detected in advance. Together with his concealing breath and hiding technique, he blended perfectly into the forest. During this time, Birds even landed on his shoulder to rest, mistaking him for a piece of wood. He didn't have to wait long. About 15 minutes later, a snow-white, agile figure quietly emerged from the cliff. It didn't even need a foothold and ran up the nearly vertical cliff. It turned out to live in a cave halfway up the cliff. No wonder it couldn't be found anywhere on the mountain. The white deer was clearly attracted by the Lingji. Initially, it moved quickly, but as it approached, it began to slow down and became cautious. It basically paused with every step it took, but despite its caution, it ultimately didn't notice the danger lurking in the shadows. Whoosh! Just as the Lingji was about to reach its mouth, the white deer sensed something was amiss, but in an instant, it leaped 3 meters high in the air. Unfortunately for it, the wolf-teeth arrow was a step ahead, piercing its skull. Thud! The white deer fell dead mid-air, and by the time it hit the ground, it had already turned into a corpse. Quite a fast reaction. If Chun Sansi hadn't drawn the bowstring beforehand, he might not have hit his target. After overcoming numerous obstacles, he finally got his hands on it. The resources from a single white deer were enough to sustain him up to nearly the Bone Forger realm, saving him a great deal of time. Going down the mountain might still lead to trouble. Carrying a white deer down the mountain was akin to carrying gold bricks through a bustling market. At first, only 1 or 2 martial arts academy disciples followed from a distance. Soon, they gathered like wolves that smelled blood, with as many as 20 or so people closely following him. Unfortunately, Chun Sansi was no child. Even with the gold bricks right before their eyes, no one dared to make a rash move. Even Mr. Wu can't do it. Wei Su stared at the hole in the exotic beast's head. How did he shoot the deer? Let's stop him first and talk later, the eldest disciple, Huang Tao, said as he stepped forward. Be careful, big brother, Wei Su cautioned. This man is petty and extremely murderous. Afraid of what? Didn't you say he's just a small flag? I've already reached blood refining great success. Why should I be afraid of him? Huang Tao shrugged off his junior's hold on his arm and rushed forward to block the way. Chun Sansi wore an expressionless face and feigned ignorance. Is there a problem? Brother. Huang Tao clasped his fists as a greeting. We plan to pool money to buy the white deer from you, at the market price. No loss to you, how about it? Not selling, Chun Sansi said and was about to bypass him. Stop! Huang Tao's tone intensified. If you don't give us this face today, don't think about leaving, I advise you. He was only halfway through his sentence when a flash of cold light suddenly zipped past his face. There was a snap sound as if something had fallen to the ground. After being stunned for 2 seconds, intense pain set in, and Huang Tao covered his bleeding cheek and wailed, My ear? My ear! Are you still buying? Chun Sansi withdrew his reed leaf spear and said deliberately. Due to the fast speed of the spear, not even a drop of blood stained the gun tip. Madman, you madman! The martial arts academy disciples were shocked. Our big brother didn't do anything to you. Why would you attack? He didn't do anything to me? Chun Sansi scoffed inwardly. It was not that they didn't want to, but that they were wary. This ear deserved to be sliced off. I'll kill you. Huang Tao was furious, his chi blood of great success level bursting forth, and despite the pain, he drew a long sword, aiming to strike at the youth's face. Stop! At the critical moment, a sharp shout rang out. A man around 40 years old sprinted over, standing in front of Huang Tao. Mr. Wu! The disciples of Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy immediately gathered around their mainstay. Mr. Wu, you came just in time. This lad. You must be the Xianfeng flag officer Chun Sansi, right? Despite the mixture of accusations, Mr. Wu Song ignored them and instead praised, fine spear technique, fine courage. Surrounded by so many, yet you dared to strike first. Mr. Wu should see, it was your people who tried to forcefully buy and sell first. I was merely defending myself. Chun Sansi realized that this man was very likely the 5th son of the Tai Lei master. They were in the wrong. They deserved to be thwarted. Old Mr. Wu Song said sternly. But Flag Officer Chun, you may have heard, my father is injured. We need the exotic beast to heal him. Could you possibly sell me the deer heart? I am willing to pay far above the market price in silver. Not selling. Chun Sansi flatly refused. He had inquired with the medical officer. The deer heart was the most beneficial part of the white deer for one's cultivation. It was priceless. No amount of silver could quickly capture a second deer. He needed to seize this chance to reach blood refining great success and prepare for bone forging. How could he possibly give it to someone else? No need to worry about them making a move. If they really wanted to fight, they would have snatched it already. Why talk so much? I take my leave, Chun Sansi said, carrying the white deer and leaving. Mr. Wu Song stood still, watching, offering no resistance. Mr. Wu. Huang Tao couldn't believe it. Why did you stop me? I should have taught this kid a lesson. Fool. I saved your life. Mr. Wu Song berated. He cut off your ear, and you still didn't react. Do you think you could last a few rounds? But, isn't he just a small flag? Huang Tao finally began to feel scared. A small flag was at most blood-refining minor success, but he was a great success. Useless. Mr. Wu Song roared angrily. Dozens of people, all useless. Searched for a month and didn't even touch the butt of the white deer. Yet someone else got it by just going up the mountain. Useless, all useless. Pick up your ear. I told you to pick up your ear. So frustrating. On the way down the mountain, Chun Sansi felt stifled. The reason he had not taken the lives of the Martial Arts Academy disciples was because he had noticed old Mr. Wu watching from not too far away. That guy was in the bone-forging realm. From the surface, he hadn't suffered a loss. But that was because the other party was wary of his status. Ultimately, they feared Xiang Tingchun, feared the governor mansion, and even feared Wang Ji, but not him. And the land belongs to the people. Why should he have to look at their faces when hunting? Seclusion. Only personal strength was the foundation of everything. The people from the martial arts hall hung around him like wolves all day, making Chun Sansi feel uncomfortable all over. The next time this happens, he would make the martial arts hall's people bleed rivers. Chapter 51. Longqing Year 57. Back at the creek, Chun Sansi saw Zhao Qiao and several others lifting a goat. It seemed that today's harvest wasn't too bad. Brother Chun also bagged a goat. Zhuang Yi waved from a distance. That's a deer, and it's an exotic beast, Zhao Qiao corrected. Good gracious. Wuda craned his neck. How much silver would that fetch? Be satisfied with the goat. Zhao Qiao was quite content. The group descended the mountain. Upon reaching the tavern, Chun Sansi was invited into a VIP room to slowly settle accounts. Deer blood wasn't easy to preserve, so they left behind 5 kilograms. The best parts of the antler were all taken. There was only one heart, which they also took. Each type of animal had valuable parts that differed. For example, the gall of the white deer comparatively wasn't worth much, and such internal organs were all sold off. The sinews were also kept. Then it was the meat of the deer. The meat of an exotic beast would greatly diminish in efficacy if left too long. Chun Sansi himself kept around 100 kilograms. In the end, what could be sold was sold, showing a total of 280 taels on the books. Plus the treasure Zhuang Zhan sent that sold for 60 taels. This sum of money was enough for an ordinary person to live affluently in the prefecture city. But for those practicing martial arts, it was merely a resource for a certain phase. Over 300 taels of silver had to be bundled to fit. Chun Sansi, carrying the heavy silver, rode the white horse to the garrison's forge. This sinew, Nyogai, holding the white sinews and gently pulling them, said, "You actually managed to get the sinew of a white deer? Great stuff. I'll definitely make you a bow of over 10 stones. Come back in 30 days. After giving his instructions, Chun Sansi inquired about the witch god sect. It's been said. Wang Ji chewed peanuts as he drank. Household's commander Xiang got so angry that he slammed the table on the spot and ordered Luo Dongquan to continue the investigation, ensuring it must be clarified before the new county magistrate and selection officer arrive. Selection officer? Chun Sansi asked. Weren't they supposed to come after spring began? Don't know the reason, but it's been moved up this year. Wang Ji squinted. I estimate it's not for you, but rather for a general purge. A purge? Chen Sansi remarked. Similar to an imperial envoy coming over for inspection? Yes. Wang Ji nodded. Every year, the selection officers travel thousands of miles to various counties and prefectures, not just to receive people, but more importantly, to enforce military discipline and execute a few beyond saving. Just last year, the garrison's household's commander next door took bribes and secretly replaced someone's eligibility for selected points, and when discovered, was directly sent to Liangzhou to die in a suicide squad. If 100 households like him are found out, there are those who get executed on the spot. Otherwise, why do you think they fear the governor mansion? And why do the people from martial arts hall dare not touch you? Why are you looking at me like that? Chen Sansi said indifferently. Worried about you. Worried about me? Wang Ji pondered the meaning behind the words and suddenly understood. You think I'm also beyond redemption? Am I so disreputable in your eyes? He defended himself vehemently. The silver, I gather, has its legitimate uses. When the selection officer arrives, don't talk nonsense. When are they coming? Chen Sansi asked. Don't know exactly, but definitely before it starts snowing, Wang Ji replied. That said, wasn't the selection officer also going to participate in the spring conscription? Chen Sansi inquired about the attitude of the governor mansion regarding this matter. As far as I know, the governor mansion does not approve, Chen Sansi said. 100 households. Wang was well informed. But this matter was approved by the Ministry of War, and you know who is above the Ministry of War, don't you? I suspect that the reason the selection officer came early was to see if it was possible to stop them. Above the Ministry of War were naturally the Emperor and the Regent Crown Prince, and perhaps a few key decision-makers at most. That damn Xiang Tingchun. 100 households. Wang tapped his fingers on the table. He wants to use this chance to join the forces under the Crown Prince faction, using us brothers as stepping stones. The Crown Prince? Was Xiang Tingchun trying to ingratiate himself with the Crown Prince faction? Ever since the 30th year of Longqing, the Emperor had begun to cultivate Taoism, delegating the governance to the Crown Prince. Now, in the 72nd year of Longqing, the Crown Prince had been governing for 40 years. Now, with the Emperor's tacit approval and the Ministry of War's endorsement, the Crown Prince had started selecting military officers from the border to cultivate his confidence, clearly targeting the governor mansion. Don't worry. This isn't the first time this has happened. 100 households. Wang saw through his thoughts. In the 57th year of Longqing, His Majesty once believed slanders and had the governor imprisoned in the imperial prison. And what happened then? That same summer, an external enemy attacked the south, and without the Lord Governor, 7 cities fell within a month. Even our 8 camps suffered a devastating defeat, with the Black Tortoise camp completely wiped out. Wasn't he reinstated as the governor, and within half a year, turned the dire situation around? 3 years ago, when the barbarian tribes were restless, it was Supervisor Sun who presided, keeping the barbarian tribes at bay to this day. So let them fuss. Anyone in the Great Shang dynasty could be replaced, except for Sun Dusher. 100 households. Wang concluded triumphantly. Chen Sansi did not know much about these matters. If it was true, this Supervisor Sun was indeed formidable. But the more formidable he was, the more the old emperor probably feared him. There's also one most crucial point. 100 households. Wang took a deep breath, speaking gravely. Since you are obsessed with martial arts, do you know who has the world's #1 spear technique? Supervisor Sun? Chen Sansi didn't even need to guess. Correct. 100 households. Wang spoke with admiration. If you want to reach the pinnacle in spear technique, there's no better teacher than Supervisor Sunday. You mustn't change your mind about going to the 8 camps just because of some villain's scheming. I haven't planned on changing my mind. Even knowing the risks, Chen Sansi was still very likely to go to the 8 camps. Where else could he go? Follow Xiang Tingchun? Speaking of which, was 100 households Wang previously from the 8 camps? As Chun Sansi gradually became more familiar with him, they could chat on different topics. Which camp were you in and what position did you hold? I was in 100 households. Wang began to speak, then swallowed his words and chuckled. Forgot. It's been so many years. Who remembers? He clearly did not want to talk about it. Chun Sansi did not ask further. He reiterated his request for the other party to keep an eye out for any cases of missing people, then busied himself with his own matters. He returned home, ate the cooked deer heart. A feeling entirely different from that of bear heart or tiger heart spread throughout his body. Ever since the blood birth phenomenon, each time Chun Sansi practiced his spear technique, the pain felt doubly severe, as if not blood but flames flowed through his body, constantly burning him. But after eating the deer heart, strands of refreshing coolness continuously flowed from his stomach to his limbs and bones, healing his damaged body. Thus, Chun Sansi became more and more spirited with each practice, not needing to rest at all. His proficiency also improved rapidly. No wonder a deer heart was worth 200 taels. The effect was many times better than that of a fierce beast's heart, and not only beneficial for cultivation but likely also great for maintaining health. Continue. Chun Sansi was unaware that it was already deep into midnight. Inside the house, Sister Lan had long changed into her newly sewn Mandarin duck-style top and was sitting quietly at the bedside, waiting. According to the usual pattern, every time the young man consumed a beast heart, a hectic night ensued. She had grown accustomed to it. Why was today out of the ordinary? She waited until the late hours of the night until, unable to keep her eyes open, Gu Xinlan fell into a deep sleep, drowsy and groggy. Chapter 52. Colluding with Scoundrels. Time flows like a relentless river, never pausing for a moment. Behind closed doors, time seems to fly especially fast. In the blink of an eye, another 20 days had passed. The weather in the Northern Territory was growing increasingly cold. Fortunately, after the pay increase, the soldiers of Pyong 1,000 households had more money in hand and did not have to suffer from the cold. At the martial arts arena, Chun Sansi was sparring with Fang Zongqi. The effects are best when the sparring partner is a realm higher in skill. Fang Zongqi, full of confidence at first, had a markedly terrible expression on his face after less than 5 rounds. Is this really just small achievement in blood refining? Strength, speed, endurance, in which aspect is he inferior to me? To put it more precisely, he seems to be much stronger than me. I who have reached great success in blood refining. Struggling miserably to reach the 10th round, the web of Fang Zongqi's right hand holding the saber split open. Blood gushed out continuously, and his arm became numb and stiff, almost forgetting how to execute the saber technique he learned. Surrounding them were onlooking soldiers, most of whom were his subordinates. Seeing that he could no longer hold on, Fang Zongqi quickly said, "Enough! It's a draw, a draw." Chun Sansi withdrew his spear. "Thank you for the effort, Fang Zongqi." Fang Zongqi, with his trembling right hand hidden behind his back, said, "You must be close to achieving great success in blood refining, right? It should be in the next few days." Chun Sansi did not deny it. Cultivation technique. Basic spear technique of a soldier. Minor success. Progress. 1855/2000. Utility. Swift spear movement. Amazing endurance. Robust chi blood. Blood birth phenomenon. The effects of the exotic beast's flesh are astonishing. Together with Chun Sansi being relatively affluent, even foregoing blood replenishing soup for the 15 taels per dose of 9 revolutions replenishing essence soup, how could his speed not be fast? Well done, Fang Zongqi said with emotion. Once you reach great success in blood refining, you too could be promoted to a flag leader, leveling with me. I've benefited from your care during this period, Fang Zongqi. After the enhancement of his cultivation, Chun Sansi's promotion to flag leader was a certainty. But he feared he would end up a leader in name only. After all, the garrison didn't have that many men. Where would he suddenly find 50 men to command out of thin air? At most, he'd be treated with the privileges of a flag leader's rank, but in title only. training in the morning, patrolling the city in the afternoon. Ever since they reported the cases of people disappearing, Xiang Tingchun had promptly started to dispatch daily city patrols. Moreover, he was very irritable. Most of those ranked flag leader or higher were scolded on a daily basis. After all, the selection officer was about to arrive, and not to mention the matter of the immortal treasure, just the fact that people were dying daily without any catch of the murderer could lead to a charge of dereliction of duty against him. The problem was, they truly couldn't find anything. So many deaths certainly couldn't be the work of just 1 or 2 people. But Piyang County was such a small place, there couldn't possibly be another place like the Golden Bell Temple for them to hide, unless the murders were not committed by the witch god sect at all. In that case, it would be natural to find no clues. Chun Sansi's mind, involuntarily, thought of the Medicine Valley he encountered on the mountain that day. Being barricaded from such a distance, it was completely abnormal. He just couldn't understand, why would a martial arts hall commit murder? He would go up the mountain to take a look. It would also provide an opportunity to hunt something. There was still nearly 200 taels of silver at home, which was enough, but it would also not be bad to hunt something like a black bear. After all, he couldn't make the trip in vain. Early the next morning, Chun Sansi set off. In recent days, there are still people missing, it's just that. Zhao Qiao and a few others followed behind. They're all countryside folk. The countryside? Neck-deep in martial arts training, Chun Sansi had not participated in the patrols and was aware of the deaths. But he did not know about this detail. Yes, Wu De said. At first, there were disappearances in both the county town and countryside, but gradually it changed to only countryside folk going missing, to put it plainly, the poor. Chun Sansi felt even more that something was wrong. The witch god sect didn't discriminate whether you were rich or poor when they killed. This kind of thing only one's own people could do. After heading up the mountain, he made his way towards Medicine Valley. Before he even reached his destination, he could see from afar 3 figures standing on the road that led inevitably to Medicine Valley. Liang Zhan, Mr. Wu of Golden Bell Temple, and another youth around 30 years old. This youth had a cloud pattern on his garment. Additionally, considering his mannerisms and how he stood as an equal to the other 2, it could only be the young master of Yunhe Martial Arts Hall, who first had his family business usurped by his uncle, only to later make a comeback. Why, recently, have all these pampered young masters taken a liking to delving into the deep mountains and dense forests? It's one thing for a single person, but 3 gathering together. Do they have too much time on their hands? Moreover, 2 li away from Medicine Valley, it's all guarded by martial arts academy disciples, not even letting a bird through. It's clear there's some unspeakable secret. Thinking back carefully, the master of Yunhe Martial Arts Hall, who was mediocre for half his life, suddenly had a breakthrough at a critical moment. In the town, it was also around those few days that people started to go missing. And then there's old Five Song. There were rumors that his father was at death's door, desperately in need of white deer for healing. And what happened? So much time has passed, and there hasn't been any news of a funeral at the Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy. On top of that, old Five Song doesn't seem to be in any hurry at all. No wonder last time I watched helplessly as he took away the white deer. It's likely they have some special way of healing. All the pieces of the puzzle fit together. The disappearances of the commoners, they must be connected to them. It's just there's no evidence for now. Chun Sansi has no plans to approach rashly either. Just before his eyes, there were 3 practicing bone training. Inside Medicine Valley, there must be a few old servants hidden away. Concealing breath and hiding is not the same as invisibility technique. If caught by these people, they could very well do something drastic in desperation. First, I'll go back and break through to great success in blood refining. Besides, the 10-stone heavy bow is almost ready. Ensure that I can retreat safely even when encountering someone in bone training, then come back here to explore further. Having made up his mind, Chun Sansi left quietly without a sound. We can't have any more deaths. Liang Zhan advised the 2 beside him. Let's put a halt to it for now. It doesn't matter. Old Five Song, however, confidently said, we're only taking peasants from the countryside. Nobodies who won't have anyone to seek justice for them. Xiang Tingchun has started investigating again. Doesn't old Five know? Liang Zhan sighed and said, let's just stop for a while. Anyway, your father's injury has been healed. And besides, we still lack the key immortal treasure. Killing more people won't increase its utility. Brother Pan. Old Five Song looked towards the young master of Yunhe Martial Arts Hall. You're not still hiding something, are you? Absolutely not. Pan Quan's expression tightened. It was with the help of you two that I was able to take back my family business. How could I continue to hide anything? The immortal treasure must be in the hands of Xiang Tingchun. I guarantee it. That bastard Xiang Tingchun. Old Five Song cursed. We sent him a month's worth of money, grain, and medicinal materials, and he won't even show us the shadow of the immortal treasure. Indeed, we can't go on like this. Liang Zhan said worriedly. Up to now, we still don't even know what the immortal treasure is. Could Xiang Tingchun at least open the box and show us? As refining organ martial artists, they're going too far. On one hand, we don't know what the immortal treasure is, and on the other, even if we had the immortal treasure, we wouldn't know how to use it. This situation is ridiculous. First, stop supplying the money, grain, and medicinal materials. We can't keep compromising blindly. I agree with this opinion. Leaving Medicine Valley, Chun Sansi hunted down a black bear. For him now, it was completely possible to deal with it easily on his own. He went to the creek to meet up with Zhao Qiao and the others. Unexpectedly, they had caught a few wolves. Seems your hunting luck has improved recently. Chun Sansi first congratulated them, then threw a wet blanket. However, I advise you to not go up the mountain for the time being. There may be danger. Everyone knew the martial arts academies were responsible for the killings, so it was only right to warn them. Why, Brother Sure? Wuda asked, puzzled. We've finally found a good spot. We'll definitely be able to shoot wolves again tomorrow. Could stones be harmful to us? As the oldest, Zhao Qiao knew there was a reason behind it. Starting from tomorrow, we won't go up the mountain. Zhuangyi expressed his difficulty. Our family can hardly scrape a meal together. I'll give you the grain. Chen Sansi now was not short of money. No way. Zhao Qiao refused. Brother Sure, we are already grateful that you're willing to take us hunting in the mountains. How could we possibly take your grain? Consider it a loan from me. You can pay me back next spring. With Chun Sansi insisting, they finally agreed. After selling the black bear, Chun Sansi rushed back to the garrison, planning to achieve great success in one fell swoop. Chapter 53. The Blood of Dragon and Elephant. Military Camp. Pharmacy. There's no more medicine left? Chun Sansi, who had come to purchase supplemental medicine, was informed that the warehouse was empty, with only blood-replenishing soup available, not replenishing essence soup. On the 3rd of each month, it is the scheduled time for the martial arts hall to send money, grain, and medicine materials. Medical Officer Jiang fanned the flames with a cattail leaf fan, speaking unhurriedly. They are already several days late, and there's still no sign of them. I knew it. How could they be willing to keep sending things? Just this month, they must have lost hundreds of thousands of silver taels. Give me a bowl of blood-replenishing soup first, Chen Sansi said. He could roughly guess what was happening. Xiang Tingchun's act of getting something for nothing was almost at its end. The people from the martial arts hall weren't fools. How could they be willing to keep giving things away without receiving anything in return? He didn't know how Xiang Tingchun would deal with it next. Anyway, it was none of his business. It was nothing more than the medicinal materials becoming expensive. If it really came down to it, he would just have to make a few extra trips into the mountains. If he couldn't find exotic beasts, there were always plenty of black bears and big worms. He drank the entire bowl of blood-replenishing soup in one gulp. Chun Sansi picked up his long spear and went to the martial arts arena to make his final breakthrough. The blood-refining realm, from entry-level to small achievement, the chi blood evolves from a single strand to 4 strands, flowing through the limbs, achieving strength far beyond that of an ordinary person. But any cultivation technique is not solely reliant on the limbs. Take, for example, spear techniques which require not only strong arms but also the coordination of the waist, and the lower stance must be stable enough to unleash sufficient power. Therefore, having qi blood circulating only through the limbs is not enough. Only after achieving blood refining great success, with qi blood running through the entire body, forming a great shape internally and fully utilizing the body's strength, can one truly exhibit the full power of a cultivation technique. Wielding the reed leaf spear in his hand, Chun Sansi concentrated on feeling the changes in qi blood within his body. The 4 burning streams of his qi blood had already reached their limit with the practice of the cultivation technique and were in a state where they could no longer improve, just a step away from breaking through and integrating throughout his entire body. However, it was always just a little bit short. It felt as though it was about to come through, yet each time it would retract again. Patience. Although Chun Sansi hadn't been practicing martial arts for long, he had endured more hardships than anyone else. Consuming beast meat and pouring down supplemental medicine required frantic cultivation to metabolize. Every time he did pile work and used the grand breathing skill, it was painful every single time, so he was not lacking in patience. It was merely a matter of time. Calming his mind, Chun Sansi tediously repeated his spear technique over and over again. Wang Ji saw this and hurriedly pulled Xiang Tingchun over. "Don't deceive me." Xiang Tingchun was full of disbelief. No more than 2 months at most. Blood refining great success? Household's Commander Xiang doesn't believe it? Wang Ji said with a grin. "I heard that you got a lot of good medicine materials from the Tianyuan Liang family, including a 300-year-old ginseng. Ginseng only helps blood refining warriors. What do you want it for?" Xiang Tingchun realized, "It's rare indeed. This is the first time I've seen you asking for something for someone else. All right, I promise you, if he makes a breakthrough, I'll give him the ginseng." In the midst of their conversation, the two arrived at the martial arts arena. When they saw the dazzling display of the long spear in the open space, even Xiang Tingchun's eyebrows revealed astonishment. Fatty Wang, with him achieving blood refining great success so quickly, won't he develop inferior blood? Rest assured. Fatty Wang patted his chest and said, "I taught him the world's best foundational technique. It's solid, at least superior qi blood, which won't hold him back no matter how high or far he goes in the future. You really have something to fall back on." Xiang Tingchun did not doubt it and lamented, "Tell me, what exactly did you do to end up being sent here? I even specifically looked it up. There's not a single famous general in the 8 camps with the surname Wang. Household's Commander Xiang really thinks highly of me," Wang Ji said with an expressionless face. "I'm 43 this year and still in the bone training realm. How could I ever be qualified to be a general? I'm just a hanger-on doing miscellaneous tasks." Xiang Tingchun said no more and quietly watched the youth on the martial arts arena. In the end, Chun Sansi simply closed his eyes, relying entirely on muscle memory to practice the spear technique, while focusing 100% of his attention inside his body, carefully feeling the flow of qi blood. He didn't know how much time had passed. He felt the light outside his eyelids grow darker and darker, until it was all black, until his spear-wielding hands stiffened and lost their agility, until his lungs expanded to their limit and seemed ready to burst and spew blood at any moment. Thump! Just as his body reached its limit and seemed unable to hold on any longer, all 4 streams of qi blood flowed back into his heart, and when it coursed out again, it was no longer in 4 streams but had transformed into thousands of strands penetrating his limbs and bones, permeating his entire body. For the typical blood-refining warrior at great success, qi blood would form a large character within the body. But for Chun Sansi, it spread throughout his entire body. This was the true meaning of qi blood permeating the body. Cultivation technique. Basic spear technique of a military soldier. Great success. Utility. Blood of the dragon elephant. All entry effects were encompassed by blood of the dragon elephant, enhancing the effects significantly. Chun Sansi began circulating his qi blood again and could feel blood of the dragon elephant, seemingly tempering his bones and meridians. No wonder blood refining is important. Within the bone training realm, one relies on the cultivated qi blood to temper the bones, The higher the quality of chi blood, the better the effect. He just wasn't sure what level blood of the dragon elephant was. The system no longer displayed progress, and he needed to switch to a bone training cultivation technique. He should go and ask Wang Ji about it. Good. As he was lost in thought, a cheer sounded in his ear. Chen Sansi opened his eyes. He then realized that not much time had actually passed. Looking at the sky, it had been only about 2 hours. However, the commotion had been great, drawing many onlookers. The person leading the cheers was Xiang Tingchun. His eyes showed a mix of admiration and envy as he said, "Just 2 months of practicing martial arts and reaching blood refining great success. Our Payong 1,000 households have truly produced a genius." Chen Sansi held his long spear and cupped his fists. "Commander Xiang flatters me. No need for modesty. From this day on, you're promoted to flag leader, but..." Xiang Tingchun smiled wryly. "Though there is a vacancy, we have no extra manpower to allocate to you. Let's start you off with the treatment of a flag leader. Later, if more people enlist, they will be prioritized under your command. Additionally, this officer will reward you with a 300-year-old blood ginseng. Those under your command will also receive rewards. Military soldiers will get 2 doses of replenishing essence soup, and array soldiers will receive 2 taels of silver. The silver will be provided by this officer himself." "Thank you, sir." Chen Sansi was certainly not going to be polite. "Well done." Xiang Tingchun nodded in satisfaction, then turned to the watching soldiers and scolded, "All of you, train diligently, and you'll earn your rewards too." After speaking, he strode away, hand on the hilt of his sword at his waist. Returning to his tent, Luo Dongquan followed close behind him. "My lord, those people have sent their reply," he reported. "The martial arts hall says they fully support your decision to deploy troops, but they see no sincerity from you. They also say that with you being so secretive, perhaps the immortal treasure is not in your possession at all, and you're just playing them for fools. Truly, people won't give up until they see the hair caught." Xiang Tingchun then asked, "What about the witch god sect followers? Were they found?" "I am incompetent," Luo Dongquan said, bowing his head. "You have 500 men to search the city daily and still can't find them?" Xiang Tingchun felt a headache coming on. If he couldn't find the witch god sect followers who slipped through the net, where would he get the immortal treasure for the martial arts hall? To hell with the immortal treasure. No matter what, it shouldn't affect the campaign planned for next spring. It seemed that without taking some drastic action, he wouldn't get them to listen. Crack. Endure when it is bearable, but when it is no longer bearable, then stop enduring. Xiang Tingchun crushed the teacup in his hand into powder. "Luo, think of something. We need to pin an offense on the martial arts hall." "My lord." Luo Dongquan was astonished. "This seems improper?" "What's improper about it?" Xiang Tingchun said coldly. "They have backers. Do you think I don't? Who do you believe approved my deployment of troops? Just do as I say." "I understand, my lord." Chapter 54 Recruitment. 100 Households Wang. Earlier, you mentioned that chi blood cultivated has quality differences. So what quality would my chi blood be? Chen Sansi voiced his doubts. The chi blood developed through a lower-tier breathing skill is symbolized by a big character. The bigger and thicker this character, the better. After refining the Howren breathing skill, it will be at least twice as strong as the chi blood produced by ordinary breathing skills. More than that depends on talent. Being able to circulate it throughout the body is naturally best. You're asking about this. Surely you haven't. Wang Ji placed a hand on the youth's body. "Circulate your chi blood so I can see." Chen Sansi complied. "Your chi blood is of the highest quality," Wang Ji exclaimed. "Just like me when I started, it circulates throughout the body, but the time spent is significantly less. Steady, even if the supervisor himself were to come, he would take you in." "Highest quality?" Chen Sansi cautiously inquired. "Is there anything more special?" "There is, 1 in 10,000. Wang Ji explained patiently and in detail. "Those individuals possess an innate martial arts physique, born with a body different from ordinary people. learning the same martial arts faster and with better effects. For example, the Tiger Shah physique, the Golden Python physique, they are destined to reach great heights in martial arts. But don't be disheartened. Your bones are definitely sufficient. You can reach great heights as well. Chun Sansi nodded, pondering quietly to himself. There really were abnormal bodies, but all were innate. His dragon elephant blood belonged to the acquired category, and moreover, it wasn't a physique, but merely a phenomenon occurring in the chi blood. Seemed similar to archery. The proficiency panel would, over time, transform him more suitable for the cultivation techniques he practiced. Select a cultivation technique. Wang Ji was prepared and pulled out 3 booklets from his bosom. After you achieve great success in blood refining, you must start practicing bone strengthening skills. Each of these 3 is a subsequent book tailored to different emphases in the basic spear techniques of infantry. Chun Sansi aimed his gaze, and the names of several cultivation techniques were Flying Snake Wind Spear, Heaven Python Breaking Formation Spear, Undying Golden Snake Spear. These are only available to me. The rest from the households can only study advanced spear skills. Wang Ji explained, these 3 books focus on speed, strength, and endurance, respectively. My recommendation is the Heaven Python Breaking Formation Spear. Cultivating it results in an incredibly fierce spear technique, unmatched on the battlefield. The commander himself had studied this in his youth. Next, the Flying Snake Spear technique moves like the wind, capable of taking a life within a blink of an eye from 20 steps away. In the world of martial arts, speed is unbeatable. As for the Undying Golden Snake, it's also known in the 8 camps as the Extraordinarily Ordinary Spear, not as fast or fierce as the previous 2, its only advantage being that it consumes chi blood more slowly in combat. However, this is also relative and varies from person to person. Before he finished speaking, Undying Golden Snake was already in Chun Sansi's hand. I choose this one. Are you sure? Wang Ji seriously said, this isn't a joke. Think carefully. Sure. Chun Sansi had thought it through deeply. For long-range assaults, he had archery. In terms of speed and fierceness, his previous enhancement entries covered it, now encompassed by the dragon elephant blood, only to yield better effects, lacking nothing. In his view, the only way to survive on the battlefield was through endurance. He remembered the first spar with Su Bin. It was by relying on endurance that he had won against someone of a higher realm. And then there was the time at the Golden Bell Temple. Among the witch god sect followers were quite a few fierce men. But what use were they? Their fierceness didn't last long before their chi blood was depleted, eventually being hacked to death by a group of array soldiers. Young man, it seems you have experienced the benefits of the Howren breathing skill, obsessed with endurance. Wang Ji brought out a jar of wine. Everyone has their own path. I won't say more. Want to join me for a drink to celebrate your promotion? No thanks. I still have things to do. Chun Sansi had previously promised to lend grain to Zhao Qiao and the others. Best not to delay. Congratulations. Chun Zongqi. Once outside, many people came up to congratulate him. However, the happiest were under his command. Their leader had achieved a breakthrough in cultivation, and they also got to reap the rewards. 2 portions of blood-replenishing soup, which would cost 60 taels of silver at market price. What a concept. Following stone was the right choice. The silver spent on practicing martial arts has all paid off in one go. Zhu Tong was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. Su Wenkai also managed to get 2 taels of silver, extremely pleased. He followed behind. My lord, are you leaving the camp? I need to go home too. Let's go together. Chun Sansi asked, hasn't your family lost its home? What are you going back for? To erect a monument. Su Wenkai blinked vigorously. The grave of my mother is still just a piece of wood. Now, thanks to your lordship's reward, I'm planning to hire a craftsman to erect a proper monument. Let's go. Chun Sansi habitually carried his bow and arrows and spear. He loaded 2 bags of rice on the White Swan horse and walked leisurely along the road with Su Wenkai. The White Swan horse didn't need to be led attentively. It automatically followed closely behind them. My lord is truly impressive. Su Wenkai patted the horse. Even such a spirited horse can be tamed by you. You will surely achieve great things in the future. Chun Sansi didn't know how to respond to such clumsy flattery. Su Wenkai cleared his throat awkwardly and changed the subject. My lord, do you need me to write an article for you? To recruit some hands? Recruit hands. Chun Sansi asked. You mean the vacancies under me? Exactly. Su Wenkai spoke earnestly. I must admit, I am somewhat skilled in judging people, and having interacted with you these days, I have grown increasingly convinced that you are extraordinary and will definitely achieve great things in the future. Stop. Chun Sansi's scalp tingled awkwardly as he interrupted. Let's talk about recruitment later. There's no rush. How can you say there's no rush, my lord? Su Wenkai spoke vividly. Remember, the grand ancestor of the former dynasty started a rebellion and killed officials while being deported for military service, and many of those with him later became founding heroes. And about our dynasty's grand ancestor, the sworn brothers he made during his time as a house slave formed the cornerstone of the Shang dynasty's foundation in its early years. From this, it can be seen that to achieve great things, one must recruit a team early. Achieve great things? The more Chun Sansi listened, the more uneasy he felt. What are you planning to do? Cough, my lord. Please don't misunderstand. Su Wenkai said, the war is coming in the spring. The more people we have under our command, the better our chances of victory, right? You right then. This was what Chun Sansi observed as he traveled. He saw many villagers still in tattered clothes. Joining the army at least allowed them to have enough to eat and stay warm. Of course, the price might be dying on the battlefield. Whether they could be recruited or not, it would be left to fate. All right. Su Wenkai was particularly excited. Watch closely, my lord. Chun Sansi began to wonder what this guy was doing all day if he wasn't training. As the two chatted leisurely, they reached the entrance of Yanbian village. Sansi, you've got some nerve coming back. You've brought disaster on the villagers. A familiar bitter voice came through. Chun Sansi remained unirritated. Uncle Lai Zi, what's the matter now? How have I brought disaster upon the villagers? Yes, you've ruined Zhao Qiao. Uncle Zhao. Chun Sansi frowned. What happened to him? I told him recently not to go up the mountain. Who said anything happened on the mountain? Uncle Lai Zi pursed his lips. Many students from the Martial Arts Academy blockaded Zhao Qiao's house in the village. You must have offended someone. Could it be Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy? Chun Sansi asked. Who exactly was there? The ones who last time trapped Zhang Shun to repair the canal, and one with a missing ear whom they called Big Brother. Uncle Lai Zi looked at the young man mounting his horse and warned. You really dare to go? There's a whole group of them. Aren't you afraid of being killed? Let's go. Without responding, Chun Sansi charged on the white swan horse into the village. Being killed? It wasn't certain yet who would be the one in danger. The white swan horse disappeared in the blink of an eye, leaving Su Wenkai coughing in the rising dust. He covered his mouth with his sleeve and asked, Neighbor, how many of them are there? More than 30. Uncle Lai Zi widened his eyes. Each one armed with a sword, very intimidating. Upon hearing this, Su Wenkai did not follow into the village. Instead, he turned and ran toward the direction of the household's office. Chapter 55. Killing in the Street. Are you sure they have a good relationship with Chun Sansi? Positive. Huang Tao, his face half wrapped in bandages, sat on a stool. In front of him were two martial arts academy disciples bowing and scraping. They were Zhang Chao and Li Hao. How could Huang Tao, who had had an ear chopped off, easily swallow this grudge? He hated that kid in the garrison, hated him so much his teeth itched. But he couldn't beat him in a fight, so he had to resort to underhand tactics. His fellow servant disciples, Zhang Chao and Li Hao, knew this and ran to offer their advice. They said they had a way, although they couldn't kill Chun Sansi, they could teach him a lesson. That was to strike at the people around him. You think you're great, you're tough, what about the people around you? Positive. Zhang Chao affirmed with certainty. We saw with our own eyes last time. That Chen guy leading those 3 hunters. They killed a black bear and even shot an arrow at us. Their relationship is surely good. They harbored resentment but lacked the guts and strength for revenge. Having finally caught an opportunity, of course, they wanted to get involved. This move is definitely effective, Li Hao said proudly. That kid used to have a brother who was sent by us to work on the canal. His fate unknown to this day. What can he do to us? Eldest senior brother? Are you really sure about this? Wei Su at his side was somewhat anxious. Mr. Wu said before, don't provoke him lightly. What about my ear? Huang Tao said angrily. I dare not kill him, but do I even dare not touch a few poor hunters? Let him see that people suffer because of him. It's at least a consolation. Exactly. Zhang Chao egged on. We called over 30 brothers today. He's just one person. What's there to fear? Moreover, it's broad daylight. Would he dare to kill someone in the street? Well said. Huang Tao waved his hand commandingly. Bring those few hunters up here. Several martial arts academy disciples brought up 3 hunters with bruised and swollen faces. They were none other than Zhao Qiao, Wu De, and Zhuang Yi. Let go of me. Damn your ancestors. Deserve a slap? Who are you cursing? Zhang Chao stepped up and slapped him. You? On what grounds are you arresting us? Wu Da's mouth was bloody. We haven't broken any laws. Haven't broken any laws? Li Hao reached into his robe and pulled out a cracked jade pendant. Then what's this? You steal our eldest senior brother's property and now deny it. You're talking nonsense. You're framing us. Wu De cursed loudly. This morning, martial arts academy disciples suddenly burst into his home and found a jade pendant that he had never seen before. They accused the 3 of conspiring to steal. The framing was crude and brutal, with no logic. Paupers, Huang Tao said coldly. You go hunting on the mountain and steal my things. Rural folk are truly low. You're also from the countryside. Zhuang Yi shouted. Aren't you Huang Tao? Your family used to weave straw mats in Chen family village. It's only after your sister became the concubine of the 70-year-old Mr. Feng in town that you got to join the martial arts hall. Shut your mouth. Huang Tao, overcome with rage and embarrassment, stomped on his face. Blather any more nonsense, and I'll smash your head into pieces. Zhao Qiao, being older, understood that arguing was futile. He pleaded, Sir, please show us a way out. How can we get you to spare us? Compensate? You couldn't afford it anyway. Huang Tao revealed his true purpose. I'm magnanimous and will give you a chance. Go call Chun Sansi over here. Let him come and apologize for you. We don't know Chun Sansi. Zhao Qiao startlingly declared. Uncle Zhao. Wu De and Zhuang Yi looked bewildered, wondering why he would say that. Zhao Qiao gave a slight shake of his head, signaling with his eyes. He had seen the truth. These people were targeting Chun Sansi. There were 7 or 8 men standing in front of them, with at least 20 more hidden nearby, each with a treasure sword hanging at their waist. Clearly, they dared not trouble the military garrison, hoping to use them to lure the hunter out into the street to make things difficult for him. Indeed, Zhao Qiao knew he was implicated for no reason. But if it weren't for their insistence on having the hunter lead them up the mountain, this wouldn't have happened. Having benefited from his kindness, one couldn't complain when faced with such a situation. Nor could they harm the hunter. They might not understand martial arts, but they knew these were dozens of martial masters. Even if the hunter could fight a tiger, he would suffer greatly if he came. Don't know him? Huang Tao saw through his thoughts. You dogs? Beat him. Zhang Chao and Li Hao were the first to raise their hands. In no time at all, the 3 of them were covered in blood, bruised all over. This scene was witnessed from a distance by many villagers of Yanbian village. But they were angry yet dared not speak. Huang Tao lost his patience. Forget it, Wei. You go to the garrison to trick Chen out. Me? Wei Su's head shook like a rattled drum, clearly lacking the courage. He pointed at Zhang Chao. You two go. Ah, brother. Zhang Chao and Li Hao kept retreating. We don't know where the households is located. Da da da. Suddenly, the sound of galloping hooves, like war drums, rang in their ears. Looking in the direction of the sound, they saw a cloud of dust rising at the end of the muddy road. A white steed rushed out from the midst of the yellow sand. On the horse sat a young man in armor, carrying a bow, arrows, and a long spear on his back. The dust was so thick that his expression could not be seen clearly. It's him. Zhang Chao and Li Hao sighed with relief. He's come. Good timing. Huang Tao showed a hint of joy. He shouted in the direction of the young man, deliberately loud. Chan, your fellow villagers stole from me. I advise you to stay out of this. Hunter. They are many. Be careful. Zhao Qiao wanted to give a warning, but was too injured to raise his voice. Shut up. Huang Tao kicked him, continuing to shout. If you really want a medal, that's not impossible, but you'll have to kneel and apologize for them. Otherwise, I'll chop off their limbs and send them to the county government prison. Da 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 da. No response came, only the sound of the hooves racing. Chan, our elder martial brother is talking to you? Didn't you hear him? Zhang Chao and the others took a step forward. Get off your horse. They didn't have the courage to approach him alone. But with over 30 fellow disciples standing behind them, they suddenly found their courage, and it was considerable. Still no response. Just the war horse rapidly approaching. Why do I feel something is not right? Li Hao felt a bit uneasy, noticing that the young man on the horse had at some point replaced the reins in his hands with a bow and arrow, and was aiming at him. Bang! Under everyone's gaze, a black shadow flashed past, directly piercing through Li Hao's heart. He fell headfirst, motionless. Ah! Zhang Chao's mouth hung open. This was nothing like what he had imagined. To kill upon arrival? How could he dare? The faux courage he had borrowed instantly shattered. The second arrow swiftly followed, its head piercing directly into his mouth and exiting through the back of his skull, killing him instantly. Everything happened too quickly. Both Huang Tao's group and the sneaking villagers were rendered speechless, standing petrified in place. Hush! Finally, it was the young man's voice that broke the silence. I don't have many arrows left. Chun Sansi lowered his head to glance at his arrow bag and calmly stated, aside from Huang Tao and Wei Su, anyone else who wants to live can leave. However, I will only count to 10. Chapter 56. Rivers of Blood. 10. As the countdown began, everyone suddenly snapped to attention. Murder! The villagers of Yanbian village had never seen such a bloody scene before. Not to mention the murderer. It was their once familiar stone. Just a few months ago, he had been holding Saint books, intending to sit for the imperial examination. Suddenly, he was holding a bow, having killed a man. What high office has Stone taken on to dare kill a martial arts academy disciple in the streets? Well done indeed. 8 out of 10 people had been bullied by those from the martial arts hall. After all, many farmers had their land cheaply bought up by landlords with the help of martial masters. You've got some nerve. Huang Tao came back to his senses amid the shock. A small flag, committing murder in the street, is there no law? The young man on the horse showed no emotion as he slowly drew an arrow and notched it to the bowstring, muttering, 9. Fellow brothers, let's take him down together. Huang Tao drew his sword. Even if Ting Chun himself came today, there's no reason to protect him. The clanging sounds continued to erupt. Blades of gleaming swords were unsheathed, 30-odd martial artists blocking the path of the white horse. 6. The countdown did not stop. The people from Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy were getting panicked. Was this person really planning to kill them all? What are you afraid of? Huang Tao roared. He is just one person. Big brother. Perhaps we should call Mr. Wu. The people from the martial arts hall, after all, were not an army. These disciples, not only did they not receive a salary, but many also had to pay tuition every year. Bullying others was one thing, but dying for it? Don't joke, no one is a fool. Right, Big brother. I also think we should call Mr. Wu to handle him. 3, 2, clatter. Before the countdown ended, the vast majority of martial arts academy disciples turned on their heels and ran. Why are you running? Huang Tao's shouts were futile, and soon only 5 or 6 people remained, either hotheads or those closely related to him. Even Wei Su was about to run. You stop right there. Huang Tao grabbed Wei Su, pulling him back. Mr. Chun said, you can't escape with me. Chun Sansi raised his longbow. Ladies and gentlemen, time's about up. As his words fell, the Kaiyuan bowstring sounded like thunder, arrows shooting in rapid succession. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Whether it was the disciples with blood cultivation introduction or blood refining minor success, as long as they were still present, they were shot through the head one after another, its speed and accuracy unmatchable even if they desperately tried to close in. These people all died instant brain deaths without any pain, enjoying sheer bliss. Big brother, I told you not to come. Wei Su's voice carried a sobbing tone. He tossed his sword to the ground, desperately trying to run. Splurch! Before he could even lift his leg, his back chilled, and he died from the arrow. In less than 10 seconds, only Huang Tao was left. His hand holding the sword trembled slightly. Arrow after arrow, each hitting its mark, leaving no chance even to dodge. Drive! Chun Sansi put away his bow and charged forward on his horse, wielding a long spear with the force of thunder towards the last remaining man. I will fight you with all I've got. With no retreat, Huang Tao summoned his chi blood to face the towering warhorse charging at him. He was utterly defeated in terms of courage. Moreover, with Chun Sansi having achieved great success and riding a warhorse, not even a single exchange occurred before the reed leaf gun pierced through Huang Tao's heart, skewering his body and carrying it dozens of feet through the air before Chun Sansi stopped his horse, pulled out the long spear, and let the body slide to the ground. All returned to dead silence. The yellow mud road of Yanbian village was stained red with fresh blood. Oh my goodness! Lai Zi was so frightened by the scene. He sat down on the ground. Crazy, crazy. Brother sure. Zhao Qiao barely managed to regain his senses from the shock. How do we handle this? Brother Sure took on so many of them by himself? Wu De first admired, then worried. Having killed so many martial arts academy disciples, they will come looking for you immediately. Brother Sure, let's run together. Zhuangyi suggested. Let's go to the next county, become bandits in the mountains. Chun Sansi, however, was calm and composed. He had long wanted to kill Li Chao and Zhang Hao, no need to mention it. The rest couldn't be allowed to stay either. It wasn't because he enjoyed killing recklessly and without consideration for consequences. Keeping these people around would be like having a pack of hyenas constantly surrounding him, swarming in at the first sign of vulnerability. However, he dared to kill because he had the confidence to do so. Recently, military supplies had been interrupted, giving Xiang Tingchun a headache. If things escalated to an unmanageable point, Chun Sansi could completely expose the affairs of Medicine Valley. Xiang Tingchun dreamed of having real leverage over the martial arts hall. Even if he couldn't find evidence, given his knack for conjuring benefits from thin air, he would create some. At this time, the martial arts academy and the army were at odds. There was no need to worry about making a big fuss. In dealing with people and affairs, one must judge the situation. Moreover, Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy was not like the other three. It was currently very weak. The old master was just recovering from a serious injury. Though not dead, he was still in closed-door healing. The only one active outside was Mr. Wu. Mr. Wu had not trained in bone training for long and was practicing an inferior breathing skill from Jianghu. Chun Sansi, with the blood of the dragon elephant enhancing him, did not just have a good chance of winning. Complete retreat without issue was 100% certain. Zhao Qiao naturally was unaware of these details and worriedly said, Brother Sure, let's run fast. Uncle Zhao worries too much. There will be no trouble. Chun Sansi reassured him as his ears twitched slightly. More people are coming. You guys go hide inside the house first. He heard groups of people urgently approaching from both the front and back ends of the village. Damned fools! Why didn't you stop them? Mr. Wu was sprinting, with a disciple struggling to keep up behind him. Mr. Wu, he is the eldest apprentice brother. How could we stop him? At such a critical time, why does this fool always seek trouble? We should have never accepted him. Mr. Wu's expression was grave. A few hours ago, his father, still recovering from an injury, was invited by Xiang Tingchun to a banquet at the Eight Treasures building and hadn't returned since. It was definitely about the issues of money and food supplies. Xiang Tingchun would definitely find a way to make things difficult for them. And at this very time, he learned that Huang Tao had led people to surround Chen Sansi. If that kid got hurt, wouldn't it hand the advantage right into the hands of someone surnamed Xiang? What's going on? As Mr. Wu neared the place, he encountered a large group of his own disciples running out of the village. Mr. Wu! The disciples, previously terrified, managed to pull themselves together upon seeing him. Mr. Wu! It's terrible. Someone was killed. Someone was killed. Did you kill Chen Sansi? Mr. Wu felt a sense of foreboding. The last time on Tiger Head Mountain, he had seen the young man, and although powerful, he was after all only a small achiever of blood cultivating introduction. Huang Tao had taken more than 30 fellow apprentice brothers, including 7 or 8 of blood refining minor success. If they surrounded him, Chen Sansi was bound to suffer. Yet, the answer that came was completely the opposite. No. The disciple, breathless. It's that military household. He went on a rampage, killed so many of our people. What? Mr. Wu quickened his pace. When he arrived at the scene, he saw bodies scattered all over the ground. Huang Tao, Wei Su, along with several true inheritors. Mr. Wu looked at Chen Sansi seated on the back of a horse and flew into a rage. How dare you, you wretch? Chapter 57. First glimpse of human nature. These true disciples were all cultivated with a tremendous amount of effort. Just to be slaughtered like chickens and dogs? Wasn't he at small achievement in blood refining? He broke through again. But even if it was at blood refining great success, Huang Tao was as well, and he had many helpers around him, so how could they all get killed? Are they all useless? After the shock had passed, Old Five Song was once again enveloped in rage, and he roared, "Have you gone too far? Come, seize him for me." The disciples who had been scared off before, now that Mr. Wu of the bone training martial artist personally took charge, regained their courage and cautiously drew their swords, edging towards the white swan horse. Who dares to make a move? Just at that moment, a voice, with a trace of age and cunning, rang out. Su Wenkai was seen rushing back, breathless. Following him were the officials from the Peyang Thousand Households. Leading the charge was Fang Zongqi, followed by Su Bin, Zhu Tong, Wang Li, and others. Together, they numbered around 40 or 50 people. Chen Sansi hadn't noticed Su Wenkai before. It seemed he had gone back to fetch people. The garrison officials carried long spears and lined up on either side of him, confronting the martial arts academy disciples. "My lord," Su Wenkai said breathlessly, "100 households Wang and households Commander Xiang aren't in the camp. I could only find Fang Zongqi. Why are there so many dead people?" Fang Zongqi, looking at the corpses on the ground, realized the situation was serious. He steeled himself and cupped his fists. "Mr. Wu, is there a misunderstanding?" "Misunderstanding your mother's head," Old Five Song, unable to control his emotions, said. "You killed so many of my people, and you say it's a misunderstanding? What do you all want by coming here with so many people? To kill even me?" "Of course not." Fang Zongqi tried to mediate. "How about this? Let Chen Zongqi come back with us first, and after Lord Thousand Households returns, we'll discuss how to handle this." "I don't need you." Old Five Song was beside himself with anger. "Today, I will personally capture him alive and take him before Xiang Tingchun to see how he intends to explain this to me." As he spoke, he snatched a sword from the hand of a disciple nearby and prepared to take action himself. "Chen Zongqi," Fang Ping, his voice low, advised, "You should leave first. We'll stall them for a while. Wait, what are you doing? Before he could finish speaking, the young man beside him charged out with his spear raised and riding his horse forward. He's a bone-training martial artist. Fang Ping couldn't stop him and could only watch helplessly as the two sides clashed with incredible speed. There's a world of difference between blood refining and bone training. Where did you get the courage? Old Five Song's chi blood erupted, and the meridians in his body suddenly swelled, wrapping around his bones inch by inch with a sound like popping beans. His muscles bulged as if he were a humanoid beast. The moment he moved, his feet left deep pits in the yellow mud, with the scenery on both sides retreating rapidly, and in a flash, he was only about 10 steps away from the white horse, his treasure sword roaring like thunder, fast as lightning. Thunderbolt sword technique. Old Five Song was consumed by rage. He focused on the reed leaf spear raised high in the young man's hand, planning to dodge the strike and then close in quickly, first to slay the warhorse, then sever the young man's arm and finally to capture him alive. When they were about 7 steps apart, a cold light suddenly flared. Without knowing when, the spear tip was thrusting forward. Old Five Song had concentrated all his attention on the long spear, yet he failed to notice when the opponent made his move. How did he do it? He quickly abandoned his offensive stance to block with his treasure sword. With one strike, both sides didn't stop advancing and passed by each other. Old Five Song's sword in his hand continued to tremble, his anger lessening, replaced by astonishment. This move, he hadn't gained any advantage. At most he had used his realm to suppress the opponent, gaining a slight upper hand in strength. Chun Sansi reined in his horse, no less tense. Old Five Song, just at entry level in bone training, already possessed such fierce power. Bone training martial artists should not be underestimated. Fortunately, he had the augmentation of the dragon-elephant bloodline to compensate for most of the disparity, and all he had to do next was to give it his all, and he might well be a match for his opponent. Again, Song Lao Wu launched another attack. The others watched their fight, unsure of what to do. He just achieved great success, and he can spar with a bone trainer martial artist? Fang Ping couldn't believe it. But the situation was urgent, and he had no time to be astounded. We can't let them go on fighting. No matter who gets injured, there's no easy way out. I need to find Lord Thousand Households. What a coincidence. Not long before, a large number of troops had been called away from the garrison, including Wang Ji, Lu Jingkue, and several other 100 household officers. They were escorting a cart of something to the county city, seemingly on a mission. Those left in camp were the ones who had relations with Chun Sansi. Naturally, they had to come and see what the trouble was. He was unable to manage the situation now. Blinded by rage, nobody could stop them. Brothers kill? Ha! Zhu Tong's eyes bulged as he swung his war hammer, ready to charge forward. Kill my ass. Fang Ping scolded. Do you think you are on a battlefield? Have you lost your mind? Su Bin, keep an eye on them. I'll go look for 100 households Wang. We must stabilize the situation and not let it escalate any further. He rushed toward the county city in great haste. Are we really just going to stand here and watch? Zhu Tong pointed at the martial arts academy disciples. There are so many of them. Are we going to let Chun Sansi take them on alone? As Song Lao Wu and the young man fiercely fought not far away, the martial arts academy disciples were itching to move in. At any sign of the young man faltering or getting injured, they planned to gang up on him. You, surname Su. Zhu Tong cursed. How has Chun Sansi treated you in normal times? Don't make me lose respect for you. Damn it. Do you think I need you to tell me that? Su Bin drew his reed leaf gun. Brothers, surround those from the martial arts hall. Flag leader Fang said not to act rashly. Another small flag tried to intervene. Su Bin ignored him. Zhu Tong was right. Since meeting Chun Sansi, Su Bin knew very well how Chun Sansi had treated him. If he didn't help at a time like this, would he even be a man? Su Bin had always been conscientious and responsible, and his men respected him and were willing to follow his orders. As for Wang Li and the others, needless to say, they had just received favors, and even if they didn't go up to help, They couldn't stand by and watch their boss be ambushed. There was also a small flag that was willing to help. The 50 government soldiers that came to Yanbian village, 30 of them charged out and encircled the martial arts academy disciples. "What are you doing?" The martial arts academy disciples looked at the dense long spears. "You drew first blood, and now you dare surround us. Are you planning to massacre innocent people?" "To hell with innocent people." Zhu Tong smashed his hammer into the chest of the man who spoke, who instantly spat blood and passed out. The rest of the martial arts academy disciples immediately clammed up. "Nobody move!" Su Bin roared. "Anyone harboring ill intentions will be executed without mercy." The martial arts academy disciples, for the most part hooligans at heart, promptly stood at attention, all glancing towards their boss, Mr. Wu. If Mr. Wu could just defeat that kid, there was no rush for them to act tough then. Conversely, without Mr. Wu's support, they truly didn't dare to fight to the death. Su Bin watched the fight anxiously. The two men fighting were at a level he simply could not get involved in. He could only hope that Chen Sansi could hold on until Fang Zongqi could summon help. Chapter 58. Killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Sword shadows and spear glimmers crossed and flickered. Battle horses neighed fiercely, and figures moved swiftly. Every time their weapons collided, Chen Sansi had to exert his full strength to parry. It's no wonder old Fifth Song was so confident before he made his move. The gap between bone training and blood refining was indeed vast. However, for Chen Sansi, as long as he could withstand the first onslaught, it meant that he would not lose and even had a very high chance of winning. Because he could keep it up indefinitely. The power of the dragon-elephant bloodline was not only formidable, but its efficiency far exceeded that of ordinary qi blood. With the same amount of qi blood consumption, an ordinary person could deliver one strike, while Chen Sansi could deliver at least 3. As time dragged on, the longer it went, the greater his chance of winning naturally became. The person who understood this most deeply was naturally old Fifth Song himself. What kind of freak is this? His thunderbolt sword technique was definitely considered excellent in a place like Payang County. Plus, with his bone training and blood refining, he was suppressing across levels. That he couldn't take down his opponent quickly was one thing, but after dozens of exchanges, he hadn't felt the slightest sign of being able to win. The youth's spear technique was pure and refined. Although it appeared that he was always on the defensive, in reality, if he was the slightest bit careless, the next second the spear tip would be thrusting straight at his face. Additionally, the opponent was riding a warhorse, looking down from above, coordinating with a long spear over a meter in length to sweep in all directions. Old Fifth Song couldn't get close at all and could only ever gamble against the sharp spear tip, unable to even injure the horse below. His heart grew impatient. After all, it's just the realm of blood refining. I want to see how much longer you can hold out. Old Fifth Song roared with fury. He overworked his qi blood. His long sword slashing like a storm without giving any respite, aimed to force the opponent to expend a large amount of qi blood and win by the accumulation of his realm. This made the spectators very anxious. Wang Li, Zhu Tong cursed. If the situation doesn't look right, the two of us will go up together and mess him up. All right, Wang Li nodded. Zhao Qiao and Wu De also quietly grabbed bows and arrows, ready to ambush at a moment's notice. Only Su Bin felt increasingly familiar with what he saw. Yes, it was this feeling. We don't need to interfere. Chen Sansi has a 90% chance of winning. How can you tell? Just watch. Indeed, another 20 exchanges passed. Old Fifth Song's explosive power began to wane with time. In contrast, the young man's condition didn't seem different from the beginning. It was impossible to see how much longer he could hold on, but it was old Fifth Song who began to show flaws, giving his opponent the chance to counterattack. Several meters apart, the gale-like onrush of the reed leaf spear was either a thrust to the face or a stab to the throat, each move deadly like a bloodthirsty venomous snake. Clang, clang, clang. Old Fifth Song continually swung the sword to cut down the snakes, but one after another kept coming, faster and more numerous. Eventually, they were everywhere and unstoppable. He had no choice but to dodge frantically, twisting his neck and head to evade, looking like a thrilling acrobatic performance. Cold sweat broke out from his body, and Old Fifth Song realized a frightening fact. If this delay continued, it wouldn't be a matter of whether he could win or not, but whether he would die. Having achieved great success in blood refining, his strength hadn't diminished much, but he had been able to last for so long. How was this possible? He could fight no longer. The rage in Old Fifth Song's heart was gradually extinguished, and he regained his composure. Clang! He exerted all his strength to chop away the spear tip, then leaped backwards consecutively to quickly distance himself. Chun Sansi leapt up from the saddle, like a tiger pouncing in mid-air, quickly closing the gap. He thrust out the reed-leaf spear in his hand, aiming directly at his opponent's chest. This thrust was extraordinarily swift. Old Fifth Song couldn't block in time, nor dared to. He dodged to the side, narrowly allowing the spear to graze past him. However, the spear blade still opened a chasm on his chest, with fresh blood gushing out. Bang! Chun Sansi didn't retract his spear. The dragon elephant blood in his body surged wildly. Holding the shaft like a club, with his body and horse's momentum combined, he unleashed a bear gang force and swept it across the opponent's chest. Old Fifth Song was sent flying several meters backward and crashed onto the yellow muddy ground. Under the effect of inertia, he rolled several times before stopping, his face covered in fresh blood, and his fine clothes became utterly disheveled. Stop! Hold on! He supported himself up with his sword. I concede. I'll no longer pursue the matter of killing my disciple. Let's call it quits. The crowd was stunned. A blood-refining warrior won against a bone-training warrior. Farewell. Old Fifth Song, no longer caring about his appearance, dropped the words and fled. Old Fifth, the encircled disciples of the martial arts hall shouted loudly. But clearly, their Old Fifth did not plan to care for them. Good. It's just as well to stop here. A few dead disciples of the martial arts hall shouldn't be a big problem. Su Bin and the others breathed a sigh of relief. But soon they tensed up again, because the youth seemed not ready to let go of this Old Fifth. Chun Sansi withdrew his spear, picked up the Kaiyuan great bow, then bent down to pull out an arrow from a corpse, and drew the bow without a moment's hesitation. Swoosh! Old Fifth Song, who had run nearly 100 steps away, kept looking back to watch. When he saw the other party drawing the bow and knocking the arrow, he thought to use the sword to strike, but he was a moment too slow. The wolf-teeth arrow whistled in, piercing through flesh and lodging in his chest, not reaching the heart but shattering bones on impact. Mr. Song staggered to the ground, looking up at the young man chasing after him, his face contorted in a ferocious snarl. You kill my disciples and that's one thing? But do you really dare to kill me? Why shouldn't I? Chun Sansi's fierce shout echoed through the village. The white swan horse responded to his call, and he once again mounted, pointing his reed-leaf long spear straight ahead. Gathering all his chi-blood power, he focused it entirely upon the long spear, and combining it with the charging warhorse, he rapidly closed in on his enemy and thrust the spear downward. Mr. Song was unable to resist at all. His treasure sword shattered upon contact and dropped to the ground. The sharp and elongated gun blade was unstoppable as it thunderously pierced into his body. Ah! Mr. Song lay on the ground screaming, using his last strength to grasp the spear shaft desperately, preventing the gun tip from penetrating deeper into the wound. The white swan horse did not stop. The long spear, embedded in the opponent's body, dragged across the ground. Mr. Song's clothes were torn and his back a gory mess. The strength in his grip on the spear shaft weakened more and more. Blood bubbled from his mouth as he made a final effort to save his life. My family pays tribute to the Lord Prefect every year. Killing me is a death sentence. Poochie. Chun Sansi couldn't be bothered to respond. He twisted the spear shaft, causing the gun tip to churn within the opponent's body, drilling through bones before mashing the heart like a drill. Mr. Song's hands slackened, and he breathed his last. In Yanbian village, an eerie silence prevailed. Chun Sansi raised the long spear high. Brothers, rest assured, I killed Mr. Song. I will go to Lord Thousand Households myself to explain the situation. It has nothing to do with you all. 8 Treasures Restaurant. Private room. Fine wine and dishes filled the dining table, yet no one moved their chopsticks. Xiang Tingchun sat in the seat of honor. In front of him were the masters of the 4 great martial arts schools of Piyang County. My speech is over. His gaze swept over each of them, each word heavy. Who agrees and who opposes? Don't even think about it. Master Song Nanshan of Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy was the first to speak out. His hair and beard were white, his breath weak as if he had just recovered from a severe illness. But his words were firm. Commander Xiang, you're too aggressive. I see no need to continue this discussion. He tried to rise, leaning on his walking stick. Luo Dongquan, guarding the door, flashed his blade. Master Song Nanshan demanded angrily, what does this mean? It's obvious. Xiang Tingchun helped himself to a drink, speaking leisurely. Today, whether you agree or not, you won't leave through this door unless you do. Master Song, you are the oldest and most experienced here. I hope you can set a good example. I've made myself perfectly clear. Master Song Nanshan snorted coldly. Without seeing the thing, don't even think about getting another copper coin from us. Well said. The master of Tianyuan Martial Arts Academy banged on the table, echoing, Xiang Tingchun, I suspect you don't have the immortal treasure at all and have been deceiving us all along. Master Liang, there's no need to test me. Xiang Tingchun narrowed his eyes. I'm telling you one last time, cooperate honestly, and after spring, the thing will be delivered to you with both hands. Master Song Nanshan stood his ground. What if we insist on seeing the thing first? Then I might just find something in your mansions. Xiang Tingchun spoke indifferently. For example, armor or crossbows, or perhaps a large number of long weapons. Nonsense. Master Song Nanshan's anger aggravated his injuries, and he coughed violently. Pointing at his nose, he scolded, Xiang Tingchun, don't forget we're grasshoppers on the same rope. Making a big scene benefits no one. Xiang Tingchun's eyes darkened. Threatening me? Master Song Nanshan turned to the others. Don't be afraid of him. He's just bluffing. I'll personally clear things up with the officials about the weapons and armor. As for the immortal treasure, he wouldn't dare make it public. Xiang Tingchun's right hand silently rested on the hilt of the knife hidden beneath him, but he did not draw it. The opponent was right. Just planting some armor and weapons was not quite enough. Even if they resorted to force, they couldn't exterminate all the 4 great martial arts schools. They had to pick a target to make an example of. The atmosphere tensed as if blades were drawn. Outside, an argument could be heard. Lord Thousand Households has given orders not to enter. Please relay a message as I have urgent news to report. Luo Dongquan went to check and soon returned, quietly reporting to the commander. A flag leader has come looking for you, named Fang Ping, he says. As Xiang Tingchun listened to the report, the murderous intent in his pupils surged, and his voice grew several times more forceful, finally having a suitable target. Song Nanshan, you've got some nerve. Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy disciples committing murder in broad daylight, seen by hundreds, and you still say you don't have rebellious intentions. Death awaits you. Before Master Song Nanshan could comprehend the situation, his head was severed with a single slash. Pass my order. Xiang Tingchun was full of killing intent. Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy has plotted rebellion. We must immediately dispatch troops to suppress them, leave none alive. Meldo. The remaining 3 martial arts hall masters were shocked and dismayed. Xiang Tingchun, you mad dog. Indeed, I am a mad dog. Xiang Tingchun's eyes were bloodshot. By tomorrow dusk, I want to see the military granaries replenished. Otherwise, you all die with this mad dog. Chapter 59. 15 Stone Big Bow. Witnessing Mr. Wu being stabbed to death, The martial arts academy disciple was scared out of his wits, and his treasure sword clattered to the ground. Whether it was the villagers from Yanbian village or the soldiers from the garrison, they all unanimously turned their gaze toward the youth on horseback, their eyes complex with respect tinged with awe. "My lord need not worry." Only Su Wenkai came over, stroking his beard, and said, "We should just go straight back, and Lord Thousand Households will certainly not blame you unduly. At most, you'll be given a title for atonement and meritorious service." You do see clearly. That's what Chun Sansi had been thinking from the start. Not to mention the matter of military supplies. War was imminent. It was not possible to shake one's own people's morale on account of outsiders. What he was truly worried about was that the disturbance wasn't big enough to manage to kill the old man from the Song family too. Fortunately, Chun Sansi was confident about achieving small achievement in bone training before spring came. No matter the outcome of today's events, he could face them calmly. He had planned to call everyone to return to camp first when he suddenly heard someone approaching rapidly on horseback. "Whoa! Song Old 5. I want your damn life." One could see Wang Ji's portly figure pressing down on a brown warhorse, holding a long and sharp mo blade in his hand, with over 100 soldiers following him from afar, charging towards Yanbian village at breakneck speed. "Stone!" Upon seeing everyone, he pulled the reins to stop. "Are you all right? Where's Song Old 5? "Dead," Chun Sansi calmly replied. "I would trouble 100 households Wang to take me to report the situation to Lord Thousand Households." "You did him in?" Wang Ji didn't believe it until he saw the corpse with a big hole in the chest. Then he showed a gleam of delight. "Good, good, good. I was worrying over nothing for you." He had been sent out a short while ago, in charge of figuring out a way to smuggle armor and weapons into the martial arts hall. Once the task was completed, he had been waiting in the county city. It was only after the incident in the Eight Treasures restaurant that he learned about the situation in Yanbian village. Worried that Chun Sansi was no match, he hurried over immediately. "This lad is killing across a great boundary. Truly a formidable being. Great news!" Without saying much more, 100 households Wang raised the mo blade high and blurted out a command like a thunderclap, reverberating in everyone's ears. "Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy is plotting rebellion. Execute them all to the last man." After a brief hesitation, the soldiers began to carry out the orders, launching a one-sided massacre against the Martial Arts Academy disciples. The villagers of Yanbian village were initially shocked but slowly realized that those dying were the same martial masters who had previously oppressed them, and they began to think it was all a dream. "I said they should be killed long ago." Zhu Tong didn't care where the command came from and swung his hammer into the air. Plotting rebellion? Extermination? Chun Sansi hadn't anticipated the sudden turn of events in front of him, and only after inquiring did he learn what had happened. What a ruthless and decisive move by Xiang Tingchun. In pursuit of career advancement, he went mad with desperation, using such a method to force other martial arts halls into submission, unafraid of mutual destruction. Of course, this undoubtedly saved him a lot of trouble. Chun Sansi, carrying his spear, quietly watched as blood flowed like rivers in Yanbian village. He knew that after today, no one in Piyang County would dare to oppose Xiang Tingchun ever again. This was the true essence of using power to bully others. With sufficient personal strength and soldiers at his command, with desperation, he feared no one and could overturn the table at any moment. Overnight, the nearly century-old Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy crumbled to dust. From the Song family's clan members to the Academy's disciples, every single one was executed, and all their assets and money were confiscated. But rather than causing chaos in Piyang County City, there was unprecedented peace and harmony, especially in the military camp. For several days in a row, starting from 5 a.m., Martial Arts Academy disciples lined up to donate military supplies, cart after cart, as much as needed, showing a proactive and generous spirit. Chun Sansi couldn't help but shake his head repeatedly. The Martial Arts Hall and Xiang Tingchun had resumed cooperation, and it became rather difficult to expose the issues with Medicine Valley. Times had changed. Bringing it up now, Xiang Tingchun would likely cover for them, considering the martial arts hall was still needed and couldn't just be completely eliminated. Fortunately, Chun Sansi's goal was achieved. Tai Lei Martial Arts Academy was utterly ruined. As for the matters of Medicine Valley, he would look into it himself. He began a closed-door training, desperately striving to enhance his cultivation, hoping to enter the bone training realm as soon as possible. Compared to basic spear technique for soldiers, the number of pile work stances in Undying Golden Snake Spear was doubled, and the number of maneuvers was increased to 49. There were many extremely tricky movements to master, making the training quite arduous. From entry-level to great success, bone training corresponds to 4 phases. They are training muscle, bone strengthening, skin training, and marrow refining, respectively. Training muscle, as the name implies, is to nourish the meridians with qi blood. Moreover, it can also initially increase the hardness of the bones. That's why the blood refining realm is considered the most crucial foundation in martial arts. Only with a high enough quality of cultivated qi blood can one nourish a robust physique. Otherwise, a single misstep could lead to a widening gap, eventually becoming an insurmountable divide that blocks further progress. The blood of the dragon elephant obviously counts as a decent foundation. Executing the spear technique with complex pile work and driven by the breathing skill, the dragon elephant blood circulated methodically within his body, constantly nourishing Chun Sansi's meridians at every moment. In just a few days, he could feel his meridians becoming tougher. Many previously difficult movements gradually became possible, and in turn evolved into more intricate maneuvers. When tired from training, Chun Sansi would eat a red ginseng raw. Blood ginseng. It was given to him earlier by Xiang Tingchun. This substance could alleviate the pain of cultivation and enhance the quality of his qi blood, benefiting him immensely. Cultivation technique. Undying Golden Snake Spear. Upper, not entry-level. Progress. 15 out of 100. Utility. Blood of the dragon elephant. Just like the blood refining realm, the bone training realm has 4 phases from entry-level to great success, with the difficulty gradually increasing. Entry-level is the easiest, whereas achieving perfection at great success is the real challenge and bottleneck. Of course, the difficulty of reaching entry-level bone training is far greater than that of blood refining. Additionally, the cultivation technique is incomplete. The Undying Golden Snake Spear is divided into upper and lower volumes, which can be cultivated all the way to refining internal organs. But the technique for refining internal organs isn't available in Payang County. Military officers at the great success of bone training must report upwards for approval, whereby a designated person would teach the refining internal organs technique, which must not be disclosed. Otherwise, it is considered a heinous crime of treason. This is also a method by which the court maintains control over local areas. Local Jianghu forces are not allowed to have individuals whose cultivation surpasses that of the military's leading figures. After training until completely exhausted, Chun Sansi stopped to rest. He took some silver and headed to the forging workshop. From his skirmish with Mr. Wu, it was clear that the two-stone bow had difficulty achieving a lethal blow against a bone-training martial artist who was on guard, and that was just during the training muscle stage. If it were during the bone-strengthening stage or higher, its lethality would only diminish. Acquiring a heavier bow and arrows was imperative. "It's been ready 2 days ago. I was wondering if you forgot about it and was about to look for you," said Nyogai as he quickly brought out the item. This bow, with a pulling force of 15 stones, can penetrate solid rock. Chun Sansi took the new bow and inspected it in his hands. This bow was made from 50-year-old mutated purple gold bamboo for its body, top-quality Songyu wood for its limbs, the sturdy skull of a fierce tiger for its bow tips, and its bowstring was made from exotic beast tendons worth hundreds of taels of silver. Holding it upright, it nearly reached the height of a person, looking rather intimidating from a distance. "I've also prepared matching arrows for you," said Nyogai, bringing over an arrow bag filled with all kinds of brand-new arrows. Sleek, sharp, triangular armor-piercing arrows, flat and wide shovel-shaped chi-pai arrows, metal-made whistle arrows, and hollow-centered arson iron arrows, among others. "Fire arrows?" Chun Sansi was intrigued and specifically took one out for examination. Arson iron arrow. The rest of it was no different from regular arrows. The unique feature was a hollow iron cage on the front of the arrowhead, which could be stuffed with oilcloth. Once lit, it would be shot out and typically used to attack enemy camps, burning down structures like grain reserves and campsites. Its individual killing power wasn't great. Chun Sansi took the tiger bone bow outside, notched a triangular arrow, and aimed at a rock over 100 paces away. Slowly, he drew the heavy 2,000-pound bowstring. The moment he let go, the rebounding force of the bowstring could easily slice through human flesh, and the triangular arrow turned into a shooting star as it thunderously flew toward its target. When it collided with the rock, it let out a loud bang. The arrow effortlessly embedded itself into the hard stone. Cracks spread outward from the arrowhead, and within moments the rock, over 1/2 meter high, shattered into pieces scattered across the ground. Skill, archery, small achievement. Progress, 150/1000. Chapter 60, The Art of Commanding Soldiers. This arrow shot significantly increased his proficiency. Chun Sansi was thoroughly satisfied. If he were to encounter an opponent like Old Song the Fifth again, there would be no need for a drawn-out battle, just one arrow would kill. It was indeed worth 50 taels of silver. He took his leave and headed to the pharmacy to purchase medicine. As his realm improved, his need for supplemental medicine grew increasingly high. Each stage of martial arts practice corresponded to specific medicinal ingredients. Therefore, blood-replenishing soup was of no help for bone training, and the efficacy of replenishing essence soup had greatly reduced. There was a specialized bone-nourishing soup available for consumption, with the original price of each prescription being 98 taels, twice as much as replenishing essence soup. Even when purchased in the military camp, it would cost 50 taels of silver. There was also a more expensive medicine bath, costing 100 taels of silver for 2 baths. Chun Sansi originally thought that with over 200 taels in savings, he could be considered wealthy, but now he realized he was still poor. These medicinal ingredients were so expensive partly because they truly were rare and often required decades of cultivation. On the other hand, practicing martial arts was a way to transcend social class. If the poor could easily turn their lives around, what would the lords do? With only so many resources available for enjoyment in the world, how could they possibly give them up easily to those beneath them? It was not impossible for the poor to rise up, but they often had to pay 100 or 1,000 times the price. Being a lackey in a martial arts hall or selling one's life in the army, each step was fraught with hardships. If you don't have silver, you can exchange for it with military exploits, but there's some time before the battles begin. I can't just sit around doing nothing. I still need to find a way to make money. Tigers and black bears aren't found everywhere in great numbers. Relying on quantity isn't reliable. It would be best to capture an exotic beast. According to records of the mountains and rivers, the Huta mountain range originally had 17 or 18 kinds of exotic beasts, but now only 2 or 3 remain, with the white deer being one, and another being an old monkey that mimics human weapon use, although it hasn't been seen for over 20 years. But it was still an idea. Especially since Chun Sansi possessed tracking and concealment. What others couldn't find, he might be able to. In the end, although vast, the Huta mountain range was still somewhat barren. Chun Sansi heard that in the areas around the 8 camps in Liangzhou, there were boundless mountain ranges teeming with exotic beasts, and the number of ferocious beasts was countless. It seemed he had one more reason to head to the 8 camps. Staying in a godforsaken place like Pyong, advancing in refining internal was the limit. There simply were no higher-level cultivation resources. Wang Ji told me that the selection officer would arrive before long. I must hasten to improve my strength. Chun Sansi gritted his teeth and spent a huge sum of 100 taels to order 2 servings of bone-nourishing soup. My lord! Just as he was preparing to go back for a meal, Wang Li found him. Lord Chen. Many folks from Pyong County have gathered outside the military camp, clamoring to see you. To see me? Chun Sansi puzzled. What's the matter? Our 1,000 households is well off and looking to recruit soldiers to fill vacancies. A lot of people have come, but they're all insisting on seeing you. Wang Li explained. They're saying, in all their years, they've never seen an official who still cares about the life and death of the folks from his hometown, nor someone who would kill a martial arts hall's beast in the street. How many people have come? Over 100. So many. Chun Sansi hurriedly followed him. At the entrance of the military camp, there was a recruitment desk that was now surrounded by an impassable crowd. Zhao Qiao, Wu De, and Zhuang Yi were all among them. And it wasn't just people from Yanbian village, it seemed that more came from the surrounding villages. My lord, your fame has spread throughout Payong these past 2 days. Su Wenkai was quite excited. I haven't even written anything yet, and so many have come. This is a great opportunity. Silence. Luo Dongquan, with a saber at his side, stood in front of the desk and shouted at the crowd. I've said it. Those who wish to join the army register one by one. The official here will make arrangements afterward. We want to enlist, but we'll only follow Brother Shi. Wu De, at the forefront, had a loud voice. Let us in to see him. This matter isn't for him to decide. No matter what Luo Dongquan said, it was ineffective, as the cacophony nearly drowned him out. Brother Chun, Zhuang Yi, with keen eyesight, was the first to spot the newcomer. Have you all thought this through? After a brief exchange, Chun Sansi asked seriously, War is imminent if you follow me. Death is a possibility. Brother, we'll die even if there's no war. Zhuang Yi's face was still bruised. If it weren't for you, we would have been beaten to death by the martial arts hall scum already. Right? Zhao Qiao also said, I've discussed it with my family, and with winter approaching, we simply can't survive without joining the army, even though there's only a meager soldier's pay. Moreover, since we've come here, we all certainly want to follow you. I also want to learn martial arts. Wu De clenched his fist. Someday, I'll kill them all. As long as you all have thought it through. Chun Sansi paused for a moment. But I'm currently only a flag leader and can only take in about 40 people under my command. First, have everyone line up to register. What a mess we look like, all in disarray. As soon as he said this, even as Luo Dongquan had been yelling to no avail, the villagers really stopped their clamor and quietly queued up. Seeing this, Luo Dongquan frowned. Not only that, but once the spots were filled, the commotion started up again. Make it clear, we're only following Chan Zongqi from Yanbian village. What nonsense, Luo Dongquan said angrily. He's just a flag leader, who can have at most 50 men under his command. So what if there are a few more? Exactly. If it really comes down to it, why don't you just promote him? Is an officer position something you can just bump up on a whim? Luo Dongquan looked at them with contempt. The army has its own rules. You country folks should stop making a scene here. Go to hell. A hot-tempered villager cursed. Disdain for us country people, huh? If you're so capable, then why post notices everywhere, begging us to join the army? What rank are you even? Are you jealous because we're enlisting with Chun Zongqi instead of you? Just get out of here. Damn it! Luo Dongquan, seething with rage, drew his blade, raising his voice several times higher. If you want to join the army, follow the rules, or else get the hell out of here. What the hell are you doing? Seeing the murderous knife, the villagers finally felt frightened, retreating en masse and daring not make another sound. We knew it. You dog officials don't see us as humans. Right? Promises of soldiers' pay must also be a lie. It's common knowledge that military camps are in arrears. Let's go. They really had no intention of continuing to register and stamp their marks, and they turned to leave. Chun Sansi glanced at Luo Dongquan. Helpless. After all, he was indeed just a mere flag leader. He had no obsession with how many men he led. But with this kind of attitude, it would probably be difficult for the 1,000 households office to reach full strength. Fellow villagers, wait a moment. Xiang Tingchun suddenly appeared, blocking the way of the dispersing crowd. His face wore a gentle smile that somewhat clashed with his temperament. I assure you, Not only will the soldiers' pay not be delayed, it will also increase. No one answered. It seemed very few believed him. After all, the reputation of the Payong thousand households had been rotten for hundreds of years. Xiang Ting-chun spoke again. I can also promise that all of you will be under Chun Zongqi's command. How about that? Upon hearing this sentence, the people who were about to leave paused. Lord Thousand Households? Luo Dongquan protested. One flag leader. How can he manage more than 100 men? That doesn't conform to the rules. Does it? Rules can be changed. In times of need, who says we must stick to rigid standards? Xiang Ting-chun beckoned. Chun Zongqi, I leave this matter entirely in your hands. Understood. Chun Sansi bowed with cupped hands. On the side, he oversaw the villagers as they pressed their handprints one by one. Once everyone was registered, he gathered them all at the martial arts arena, organized them into lines, and checked their names against the list. It was then that a familiar sensation stirred within him. Panel appeared before his eyes. Skill. Commanding soldiers, untrained. Progress. 0 out of 100. Utility. None.